the same name, Indie Film Hustle podcast, and I'm here to talk shop. Let's say me and RB got together. Episode 29, I think. He was a guest on my podcast, and we became fast friends after that. So that was one of the best, most recorded, downloaded podcasts I've ever had. So someone tweeted us. You remember this? Someone tweeted us this idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, someone tweeted
Oh,
this
that's
idea.
right. This was a fan idea.
This was a fan idea, which please, if the fan is watching, please forgive us. We have not been able to find that tweet again because we tweet so often. Yeah. But they said, hey, RB and Alex, why don't you guys do an Oscar special? And then you tweeted back, I think from Sundance or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like
Let's
that.
do it.
Let's do it. I'm down if you are. I'm like, sure, why not? So here we are today.
Here we are. I'm Rich Botto. People know me as RB. I run Stage 32, which is the world's only platform for connecting and educating film, television, and theater creatives. We have 500,000 people on the site worldwide. If you are in the film business in any capacity, if you're an actor, a writer, a cinematographer, director, anything, go to stage32.com and sign up. It takes about a half minute, and you'll be connected to 500,000 people around the world. I'm also a working writer in Hollywood, as well as an actor, producer, and voice actor. So we're here today. We have a little knowledge between us. We've been around this for a while. We got sort of the vibe of what's happening in the street around here in Hollywood. And we're going to talk Oscars. And we're going to talk
film biz.
The film biz. So where do you want to start? You want to start at the top, or you want to talk about the year? I have my top 10 list. I have all sorts of things going on.
So much
Are we
more
going to be
prepared
taking
than
questions at any point during this? We have a crack staff behind us. You know.
We will be taking questions on Periscope momentarily, but you look so angelic right now. I'm going to have you move over
Yeah,
a little
we
bit
got a
more.
little bit of sun here.
Yes,
so
forgive us
peeking
about that.
through.
But yes, I will give you
I
a
am
little
angelic.
sun.
Well, yeah,
You
I was
are.
gonna say, I
We
didn't
don't want it to be too angelic.
Right.
I'll give you a little hand when the questions come in at the end,
Sure.
and I'll make sure to screenshot all those. So keep your questions coming, everyone.
All right.
And that is the voice of the Stage 32 social media czar, Noel.
Yes.
And in the corner, silently looking on, menacingly looking on, is my consigliere.
So I mean, we can talk a little bit before we get into the actual nominations. We could actually talk about the whole season, the whole year of film, and there has been some controversy this year as well. So we could talk about that too. So wherever you want to start from, sir.
Well, I mean, we could start right at the top. I mean, I think it's been a very good year for film. I think the thing that's been interesting to me is the resurgence of independent film.
All right.
At the box office. I mean, some of these films, that we're going to talk about haven't had, great turns at the box office. In fact, a couple of them had sort of disappointing runs.
A lot of them, actually.
Yeah, but there's also, we're starting to see that tanker turn that we've been talking about all along. I believe, and you and I talked a little bit about it on the podcast, that the independent film business is making a little bit of a shift and a turn and becoming sort of in vogue again. I think a lot of the streaming has a lot to do with that. And then, of course, on the studio side, which I think the big story of the year, in my opinion, is Mad Max, because here you have sort of this mainstream film, summer blockbuster film that maybe, and we'll get into it, maybe it's not a legitimate threat for Best Picture. I don't know. I don't know, because this thing is really wide open right now. Yeah, but none of the indicators are there, obviously, the DGA, the PGA, and everything like that. But definitely a threat, in my opinion, in the director category.
It could be. It could be. And I agree with you. I think a movie like Mad Max, I remember when it was coming, I saw the trailers like everybody else did. I was like, Jesus, this is done by Warner Brothers. This is just like, they just let George run wild, with it, and that they market it. And I was listening to everyone talking like, it's not going to make any money. It's like, it's too out there. It's too this or that. And it's like an old reboot again and all this kind of stuff. But, when you see it, it's like, it's an experience. And I guarantee you that most people who saw it had no idea that, almost 70,
yeah.
A 70-year-old man did this.
And without a lot of, of course, the famous story, the well-told story, is without a lot of digital effects.
There was some. But,
there's obviously,
but there's a lot of practical. A lot. He went old school on a lot of stuff, and we could talk why Charlize is not nominated, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We have a question. Did it make money?
Made lots and lots of money.
Made a fortune.
Made a fortune.
Yeah, it made a fortune. Well, yeah, one of the most successful films of the year.
From on every level. It was on every top 10 list. Like,
oh yeah, every top 10. But I mean, money-wise, I mean, globally, it did an unbelievable
was
about
it
it.
400, 500?
At least,
if not more.
At least. And then of course the other big story of the year is the diversity story. I am sure a lot of people are curious about our thoughts on that, or probably have some thoughts of their own. If you're on Periscope and you want to bring in on that,
yes.
I have some very strong feelings about this, and we talked about this. I was on a couple of panels up at Sundance this year. This came up quite a bit, and my feeling is, I think that I think that what the Academy is doing right now, I think they jumped a little quick. I think that sometimes when you have controversy, especially when the media jumps on board, and of course, in this day and age, the media jumps on board like that, and it's it's a mudslide. It just, you're just going. I mean, the house.
This is a big target. It's a big target.
Yeah,
the Oscars is a big target.
It's a big target, but I think that the bigger problem is the industry itself. I think that they're not enough. If there were more roles, more films that had diverse casts, we would see more nominations. I don't necessarily think the answer is to shift everything. Yes, the Academy is old. 63-year-old average, whatever the heck it was, 90, whatever it's.
Well, they are old. They're old and white.
Old and white.
Yes.
Okay. All for adding into that pool. Okay. All for that. But I think the bigger problem is the industry itself. And I think, when somebody like Will Smith, who legitimately was probably a short hair away from being nominated for Concussion. Okay. I mean, it was very close, right? He was nominated in he was nominated Golden Globe and some of the other guilds and everything like that.
Absolutely.
When you're that close, I think that instead of, and this is just my opinion, instead of banning the Oscars, I think that you can make a stronger statement, but maybe making a statement against the industry itself. I don't think the Academy is the target. I think it's the industry, the studio system. We're starting to see, there was an article the other day, I think it's the first one I ran on the Weekend blog this week on Stage 32, about how there are more female protagonists in films, but they're predominantly white. Okay, all right, so we're starting to solve one problem, but we haven't solved the other yet, right?
Can't make everyone happy.
Can't make everyone happy, and that's, I think, the other point of this, right? I think that, I just think that it's an industry-wide problem and not a one night in February problem.
Agreed.
And I think that's where I disconnect a little bit. As far as, well, go ahead, if you have your opinion.
No, I mean, I agree with you 100%. And I think that if you look at studios movie, I mean, this is an industry, meaning studios.
Yeah.
The studios are the ones putting out the majority white characters, white situations, all this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And when you look at the independent world, the independent world is like 80 to, I think it's like the last check I saw was like 70 or 80% are female and different ethnicities.
Yep.
Latino, Black, Asian, also. You don't see that, but it's because I think that the studios are so risk averse that they don't want to take a chance with it's in their minds, white is going to be the broad spectrum that everyone can digest that, but you can't have an Asian in Mad Max as Mad Max. Like that's impossible to have, or you can't have an African American or a Latino in that role. And I get their point. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. And the studios are so risk averse that's why the decisions are made. Like we're both around this town enough that we know. I remember when I was shopping out projects, like a female lead in an action movie.
On her.
Forget it. I was never able to get any traction on certain projects because most of the projects that I was doing were all female leads because I wanted to do female leads. I love Ripley, in Alien. I love Sarah Connor, and I love Charlize Theron's Furiosa.
Yes.
Thank you. Her character, that was amazing. So I love those kind of characters, and just couldn't get any traction. So I've seen the way things. I remember. I'm Latino. I'm Cuban, and Latinos in movies, forget about it. If it wasn't, Jimmy Smits, and nothing against Jimmy, but there was there was a group of 5 guys who got all the roles, and God forbid a female Latina, Salma Hayek was the first in Desperado. She was the first co-star Latina in a studio movie in 40 years prior to Desperado. And then like, so a lot of people don't know that, but I mean, look, Salma like kind of kicked the door down a little bit. And then Penelope Cruz and all these other, you know, amazing actresses have opened up as well. Gina Rodriguez now as well. So I think it's just taken them, like you're talking about the boat turning. It's so slow, but but we're seeing it. And I think it's speeding up a little bit more and more than it used to.
Right.
You know, before it was like, you know, in the 80s, done, 90s. But then now you're starting to see things happen a little bit quicker. Now, instead of 10 years to do something, maybe it takes 5 years. And now it's moving a little quicker because technology and everything else is changing so fast.
Yeah, I think you make one of the points you made, I think, is the point, which is that this is a studio problem. This is not an independent film problem, right? So again, that brings me back to somebody like Will Smith. I sit there and I say, okay, if you really want to make a statement, say you're not going to make a studio film for the next year. Put your money where your mouth is in that way to say, look, you know, this is a project that I had on the table. I'm not doing it. And other people will probably follow suit. That's sending a message. I think saying I'm not going to go to the Oscars, I think a lot of people go, you know, all right.
Oh, so you're not going to go to another party?
You're not going to go to another party. You're not going to drink. You're not going to get to put a tux on, and you're not going to be able to get in a limo. We're heartbroken. Middle America is going, please crush me a little more.
You know what it would be great is, I'm going to interrupt you, but like what would be great is like if someone like Will Smith, because he's put himself out there. And first and foremost, I'm a huge Will Smith fan. I love Will Smith.
Nothing against him.
Nothing against him. But if you're going to take a stance like this, go, you know what? I'm not going to do a studio movie for the next year. I'm going to do an independent project myself. I'm going to do it at this budget range. And I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to hustle it myself and then do it all myself. And I'm going to put whoever the hell I want in it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Do that.
That's a statement.
That's going to be a statement. And all of a sudden, when Will Smith does that, then maybe somebody else does it. And maybe a bigger female, female actress was like, you know what? That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. And
so on and so on. Maybe they start a trend because at the end of the day, the studios are, I mean, they're not as star reliant as they used to be, but they're still star reliant.
No question.
You know, I mean, Independence Day, the new one, is not star reliant. The stars there are not really what the draw is.
Right.
It's the event movie. Star Wars, kind of star reliant, but now going forward, probably not so much.
Right.
So, but if the stars start boycotting it and start doing, because the technology is there, the ability is there, the distribution is there. Imagine if a Will Smith showed up at Sundance with a freaking movie. Can you imagine that's a $20 million buy?
And you're a hero too, man.
And you're a hero. You're going to make your money. It's just the way it is. So, But it's about who has the cojones to do something like that.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I think, you know, I guess, again, I go back, and I'm not trying to beat up on Will Smith.
No, I love Will.
Yeah, there's a lot of Will Smith fans.
No.
We love Will.
We love Will. We were using this as an example because he's the one that came out in the media and said, you know, boycotted. His wife's going to boycott it. But if he would have been nominated, it would have been one actor of color, you know, and 19 not, would have been the same thing, and would be, you know, I think, again, at the end of the day, I think there are two issues here as far as I see it. One, again, as you said, industry problem, studio problem, casting problem, project problem, as far as the studios are concerned. And then the second thing is, God, I just lost my train of thought. I just lost my train of thought.
I'll while you're thinking, there's a new movie coming out called Gods of Egypt.
Yeah.
Completely whitewashed.
Yeah.
Their entire. I love Gerald Butler. I'm a big fan of 300, but dude, you're not Egyptian.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like Dances with Wolves, they were all Indian.
Yeah.
They were all Indian. Wow, what a concept by a great company that I wish was still around, Orion, who was doing some amazing work. Amadeus, RoboCop.
Hey, listen, they were good enough that they remade it.
You know, oh Jesus, don't even get me started with that. But that, look at that. That today, Dances with Wolves would not be cast that way. No matter who's in the lead. No matter who's in the lead, it would have never been casted that way. And that movie would have never been what it was. So that's the problem, I think. I agree with it. It is a studio problem. I think Gods of Egypt are going to die a miserable death.
Oh, I do.
I think it's going to die a miserable death. It's such a classic studio. Some executive somewhere is like, we're going to get Gerald Butler, you know, big movies. He did 300. That's good. Let's just bring him in. Yeah. And then we'll put this other guy, we'll put visual effects everywhere, and it's going to make no, it's going to die a miserable, horrible death. Like Fantastic Four did, like all those kind of movies. Like, and then Fantastic Four, when they actually put a man of color in a part, I didn't agree. I'm a comic book dude. No. Johnny Storm's not, he's not an African American guy. Nothing against Michael J. He was great in Creed, but he wasn't that. Let's say when they put Jessica Alba in,
right? Yeah,
as Sue Storm, like no, she's not Sue Storm. That's not who that character is. It's like, come on, guys. So don't jam it in when it's not needed, and don't put it in when it is needed.
Right. Like, and that was the second point I was actually going to make, is I feel it's an overreaction. That was the other thing I was going to say. You don't want it. Just came back from Sundance, and the film that won Sundance,
Birth of
a Nation,
great title.
Birth of a Nation, right?
Great
Perfect.
title.
And here you have, and this bothered me. And this is what I mean by the overreaction. And this really bugged me. I got to see the film. It is a fantastic, very well made film. Nate Parker, 7 years of his life to put into this film.
Oh, I can imagine.
And gave up his acting job. Told his agent, this is what I'm gonna go do. Now, he wins everything. He gets a $17.5 million deal, and the talk all over Main Street is this because of the Oscar diversity thing? And now the thing is, if you're the filmmaker now, right, and you've spent these 7 years, you don't want this to be part of the conversation. You want it to be on your own merits. People forget that we're only 2 years removed from 12 Years a Slave winning 1 million awards. It did really, really well. So I think that, again, if you're greenlighting those kinds of movies that will allow for diverse casting, I think you solve the problem. And I think we've seen it historically, and we don't want to get into this. We're a society that overreacts and overcompensates, and we're an impulse society. And I hated hearing that conversation up at Sundance, because the movie is a fantastic film. Right. It probably would have benefited from a little distance from 12 Years a Slave, but it is such an accomplishment that it bothered me to have to hear people talk about that, as opposed to talking about the film on its own merits.
Now, that's 17.5 with just streaming rights, right?
Streaming.
So they can still go theatrical.
Yeah. Oh no! Wait, no.
Is it all out? It was Fox Searchlight. It was Fox Searchlight, right?
Yeah, it was Fox Searchlight. The movie you're thinking of is Manchester by the Sea, which is also excellent, and just finally they got the Netflix deal, or they got the Amazon deal, I believe, and now they got the distribution.
But if it wasn't for Netflix and Amazon, that's not 17.5.
No.
They're the ones that ran
Netflix actually offered 20, and he turned it down because he wanted theatrical. And what ended up happening was, I think there was a little bit of a fear over what happened with me. This would be kind of a segue into all this in a way. He was a little fearful of what happened with Beast of No Nation on Netflix, because the feeling was that it didn't get the Best Picture nod, and Idris Elba didn't get the Best Actor nod because of the
Netflix.
fact that people didn't see it. People didn't see it. And it only got a couple of theaters. I put in a couple of theaters just to get it theatrical, so we'll qualify, but not enough. Yeah, but it's a good segue, because, in my opinion, as far as when we're talking about diversity and we're talking about merits again, to me, and I know you have some feelings of your own, and we'll have a little back and forth about this. The one snub that stood out to me, like my biggest snub of the year, to be honest, is I thought Paul Dano for Love and Mercy.
Yeah, he was amazing. He really was amazing.
Okay,
at that.
And I hate to bring up another white actor, but that was.
It doesn't matter.
But I'm saying we're talking about the diversity thing. But the second one to me was Idris Elba. I look at that performance, and I look at that film, and I do believe if that film had theatrical, there's no question he would have got it. But some of the other names that have been brought up, these names, they weren't really factors in any of even the Guild Awards or in some of them, but you have some thoughts.
I do. I think that personally, I think that Straight Outta Compton was completely snubbed. I thought when I saw Straight Outta Compton, at the time I saw it, I was like, this is the best movie I've seen all year at that time.
Okay.
At that time, I've seen other movies, but I think it definitely, for what, the reason why I love Straight Outta Compton so much is that it had no business being as good as it is. There hasn't been a rap biopic other than maybe 8 Mile that and 8 Mile wasn't even a biopic, it was loosely based on Eminem, that has been done well. The Biggie one stopped, all these other ones they weren't done well, so it had no business being as good as it was. And because of that, I was like blown away with it. I think that Shay Jackson, is it Shay, right?
I believe so,
yeah, Shay Jackson, Ice Cube's kid, should have been nodded, because this is just my opinion. I think what he did with Ice Cube, he's the living embodiment of it. How he obviously lives with his dad and has grown up with his dad, might have done it. Could he do Shakespeare? I don't know. But that's
as Ice Cube,
he could do Shakespeare. but he couldn't do. But I'm not sure. But what he did in Straight Outta Compton was amazing. I thought what F. Gary Gray did was, I think, should have been a nod in itself, purely because there was so much going against a film like that, as opposed to a Bridge of Spies or a Brooklyn. Or no, and I'm not saying that they should. No, I'm not trying to take these out, but like, Bridge of Spies, Spielberg. Like, this is not a real uphill battle, guys. Brooklyn, not an uphill battle in the scope of.
I disagree with Brooklyn.
Okay.
You're talking about a small little indie.
Okay. The Martian,
that I agree with you.
Spotlight, Big Short, which are all amazing films. We'll talk about them. But Straight Outta Compton there was 2 more spots available, and Straight Outta Compton could definitely have been one of them. That's my opinion. I know you differ.
The problem
it's like Roger and Ebert. I love
it is. The first hour of Straight Outta Compton, I thought was electric.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I was so in on it, and then I felt like the last hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. The last hour and a half. It was a 3-hour movie.
It's like 2.5. No, the first hour.
Oh, okay.
For the last hour and a half, it's like 2.5 hours.
Oh,
I actually saw the director's cut, which is 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Okay.
Long.
Okay. That might have been
a little long.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, 2 hours and 45 minutes. I felt like the second half was a little sluggish.
Okay.
So I didn't love it.
Mm-hmm.
I respected it.
Right.
I thought it got a little melodramatic in parts.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the acting was good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I would have taken out of this top 5. Well, Cranston maybe. You know what? Cranston and Damon maybe. I mean,
yeah,
maybe. But that's
for the leading role though. That he would be. He's leading or supporting.
He would have been supporting. But I mean, I go back to Idris Elba. Like I would.
Yeah. Oh no. I agree with you 100% with that.
And even Paul Dano.
That's a good film. I like that movie.
Love and Mercy.
I love the Mercy.
See, like that was the thing. You can't compare Love and Mercy. You're talking about 2 totally different bands, right? 2 different scenes, different times, and everything. But the thing I loved about Love and Mercy was I felt like it felt tight. I felt like Straight Outta Compton could have been maybe 20 minutes shorter. But
then the lesson out of all those movies is don't have Paul Giamatti near you.
As
a music producer.
Is that unbelievable? The movie producer of both of them, Straight Outta Compton and Love and Mercy.
And he's been an ass.
He's an ass. Just a heavy ass. And I couldn't believe that.
But I'll show up.
Bad wigs in both of them.
I'll show up and watch Paul read Yellow Pages. So
I'm watching that, not to go off on a tangent, but Billions.
I haven't seen it yet.
You gotta watch him on there. He's chomping.
Amazing.
He's chomping the scenery. Yeah.
So I think when we talk about the diversity, I think one thing I know the Coen brothers just got hit really bad for what they said. I think everyone's a little too sensitive. I wish this was kind of the 80s or the 90s where people weren't. The politically correctness is not as much. I agree that we need more diversity in our movies because it's a reflection of society.
Mm-hmm.
We are not a white society, and by 2050 there'll be more Latinos than anybody else in the United States. As things go, there's more ethnicities in the United States than just white. So it is a reflection of our society in America at least. But also we're a global world now, so it's you have to kind of open up, and I think. Just from even on a financial business sense, if you don't open up, you're going to lose. Look at the Fast and Furious series. I mean, there's ethnicity everywhere in that movie. Everywhere, and it was built that way from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And why does it travel so well? It made $1 billion. The last one made when was the last movie that was the 7th of anything? Make $1 billion, and now they have 3 more in the works.
But why not, right?
Well, no, just keep going.
Yeah,
just keep going. It's basically the new Bond.
Until you run out of cars.
I mean, I don't know what else they're going to do. I think they're going to go to the moon and jump off because they've done. They're planes, buildings. I don't know what else they're going to do. But look how amazingly well that's been received. And again, look at the ethnicity of all of those characters.
Yeah.
So I think the studios have to kind of wake up a little bit, and
that's what I hope. I hope that once we get past this, the 28th, and everybody takes a breath, that we start looking at the business and because I do think it's
not. I agree.
It's a knee jerk. You don't want a knee jerk reaction to anything.
No.
It's not fair to anybody. It doesn't solve the problem.
I love that Chris Rock hangs out. He's hanging out. He's not leaving.
I also love the fact that, I love that Chris Rock went out and said, here he is. And what did he blame? He blamed the studios. He said, look, every time I've taken a movie to the studio and I have a black girlfriend, they say, can you make her white?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm glad he's saying those things
because
without having to go, I'm not doing it.
No.
He's actually using his platform the right way.
Right. And I can't wait for him to
eviscerate
I can't
everybody.
wait for the opening monologue. It's going to be, I think, epic. Only Chris Rock, I think, honestly, is the only comic alive that is perfect. The timing can't be more perfect.
Oh yeah, like, if these articles started hitting the trays, and he was like,
oh no, he was he's the perfect comic for the perfect time. And it's just like when Richard Pryor did it back in the 70s. He was the perfect guy at the perfect time.
No doubt.
You know, so.
I see Noel raising a hand over here.
Yes.
There's some questions.
At Bia Vixen says, and create more powerful roles for women.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's the thing. The independent film world, that's happening.
Yeah.
You know, and listen, if you look at the Best Picture nominees, I mean, not for nothing. Brooklyn, female lead. Mad Max, I don't care what you say. Tom Hardy's not the lead. Female lead.
No, Charlize Theron. It's the Charlize Theron show.
Female lead.
He said 5 words in the movie.
Yeah.
It's no. Absolutely.
Room, female lead.
Yep.
So you're talking about 3 of your 8 top, pictures, and it really Spotlight didn't have a lead, and Rachel McAdams, it was a total collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Ensemble.
Ensemble. Thank you for the word. And what's her name is nominated. Rachel McAdams is nominated.
She is or she's not?
She is.
Okay.
So I'm saying, so there you go. So you can make the argument that 4 of the 8 films that are nominated for Best Pictures, I wouldn't say that she's a female lead in The Big Short. It is an ensemble cast, but she has as big a part as
Oh,
anybody.
absolutely. And I think there's more. I think what Charlize did in Mad Max opened up a lot of doors.
No question.
A lot of doors for female, because it's like Hollywood is all about, if it hasn't been done, we don't want to try it. You know, so I can't believe that honestly, I can't believe Mad Max was made. It's a mystery to me that movie got made in the studio system. It's one of those things that snuck through, and it was purely because of George Miller and who he is, and but they wouldn't have given a young kid that movie.
I don't think so.
Or it's just because it was George and it wasn't established. There was a lot of pluses going for it, and then they got Charlize in it, that's a big star. But I think she's opened up a lot of doors in the action genre, and now I'm praying that she becomes Captain Marvel. I think she'd be the Captain Marvel.
Love these superheroes,
dude. I'm a comic book geek. I've been a comic book geek.
You know that Marvel was right on the
I
slot.
know Marvel is right over there. Yes, I know.
They moved.
I know they moved. I know.
Yeah, they're gone.
I know, but I'm a huge Marvel guy. I could talk about the Batman Superman movie if you want me to. I love the Nolan Batmans, were amazing. Yeah. I mean, you could put up Dark Knight against any crime movie.
I'll even go with you there, and I'm not a big superhero guy.
No,
I'll go with you.
I mean, I'm not going to put it up against Heat, but
it's sort of like the Godfather one of superhero movies.
I mean, it is pretty much. It really is. I mean, the Dark Knight. I'll put it up against any crime drama, a crime thriller, without question. But I am a big comic book geek, and I'm in my renaissance now, and will be probably. And also, I'm a Star Wars geek, so I'm in heaven. So
I know you have some good, strong feelings about that. What the hell is screenplay on this? I figured we'd start maybe with the screenwriting things and work our way up, but it is down here.
Well, we
have another question.
Tanae wants to know: can there be 2 strong leads? Why are we arguing about who's the main lead?
Of course,
because we're talking about somebody asked a question about female leads,
right?
So we were talking about the female lead.
That's why we're talking about that.
There you go.
So, as Hollywood would say, the screenwriting is on the second page, not the first.
Yeah.
It's really
not really.
It doesn't really matter. It's not really about the screen.
And I'm a screenwriter, and it's literally listed on the Oscars site as the last 2 freaking categories. It's not even.
Oh my god! It is because it's underwriting. It's alphabetical. It's alphabetical.
Apologize, please don't overreact.
Well, it's not completely alphabetical because Best Picture's first, but we'll let that go.
I'm gonna get a letter from Cheryl Boone Isaacs now at the Academy. She's gonna hit me.
Okay, so screenwriting. Let's
talk about screenwriting a little bit.
All right.
So adapted screenplay.
Yes.
We have The Big Short, Brooklyn, Carol, The Martian, and Room.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go out there, man. I did not quite get The Martian. All the love for The Martian, and I understand the love for Ridley Scott, but
I understand the love for Ridley Scott. I love Matt. I do, and I mean, I literally love Matt. I think the new Jason Bourne trailer looks insane.
Yeah, that I'll go.
I saw it, and it's Castaway on Mars. It's Castaway on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
It was an entertaining movie. I'll never watch it again.
Yeah.
It's not one of those movies. And Ridley did a great job, but it's not the Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Blade Runner. It's not. I don't know. I'm confused as well. I don't know why it was nominated. I don't know why. Is Matt nominated?
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it. I get it, but it's not a performance that is for the ages by any stretch. Nothing against Matt. Please, I love Matt. But
No, I agree.
I'm calling it as I see it. But I don't understand the love for it either.
I don't either. And I mean, I look at this list. Room, I loved Brie Larson to death. We'll get into the actress category later. She was phenomenal in it. Tremblay, the kid, was unbelievable. Did not connect with that either. I mean, the one, Brooklyn was one of my favorite movies of the year. I loved the film. But the one that I thought was the real, and I actually like Brooklyn better than this movie, but I think as far as adapting this book, The Big Short.
No,
I mean, just incredible. I mean, you're talking about a very dense book.
And the way he did it.
Yeah.
I mean, I got it. When I saw The Big Short, I was like, oh, this is nice. And you could tell it was him. It was Adam McKay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could tell that it was a comedy dude doing it. Like the guy who did Anchorman did this. I can see it in there, but it's done so well. And the way that they cut to, famous celebrities, just to talk about the most mundane financial stuff.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, Margot Robbie in a bathtub talking about subprime loans. I mean,
it's just it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So, arguably, I think that's probably one of the best. That's probably the best one in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to win. Carol was a film. I don't think it has a shot now because it was a film that everybody expected to get a Best Picture nomination, and it just didn't happen. I mean, it got the acting nod for Rooney Mara.
Okay.
Yeah, and Kate Blanchett, and but didn't get the Best Picture nod, so I don't think it has a shot. I think it's going to be The Big Short in this category, and I think deservedly so.
I agree.
And then in the original screenplay category, we have Bridge of Spies, your favorite.
No.
Ex Machina.
But Straight Outta Compton.
Inside Out, Spotlight, and Straight Outta Compton. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I think Ex Machina should have been nominated for much more than it was.
My third favorite movie.
Yeah, I think it should have been nominated. I think Isaac was
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac was
Inside Out.
Well,
we have a comment. Inside Out.
We're gonna get to Inside Out. Give me a second. I think Bridge of Spies. I felt the first 40 minutes of it was dead.
Yeah,
and then when it became a thriller, then it picked up again. I love Steven, of course.
Yeah.
Anything he does, but sometimes,
yeah,
he's Steven. Ex Machina, absolutely. Spotlight. Spotlight's one of my favorite movies of the year.
Me too. That probably is my favorite.
It is amazing. That movie is remarkable on how it did it. Another movie that I'm not sure I'd watch again. Like there's those movies that if it's on TV, am I going? No, it's not one of those movies.
Yeah,
it's not Shawshank. Like we always talk about.
Right.
We'll watch that movie a million times. This I'm not going to watch again, but I respect how amazing it was. And I love Straight Outta Compton. But I'm going to argue that Inside Out should probably win Best Screenplay because what Peter did. Peter, I forgot Stark. I forgot his last name.
Yeah.
The director, and the writer of this. What they did in Inside Out, I thought was amazing. I know a lot of people that don't like it. I know a buddy of mine who's an animator at Disney who's like, I hated Inside Out.
Really?
Hated it. But he hates everything. Like he thinks, Van Helsing is the best movie of all time. So I always bust his balls about that. But Inside Out, I just sat there and watched the now if no one's seen it, turn away because I'm gonna say a spoiler now. But when the figment of the imagine.
Yes.
Just like
boom, what is
boom, boom,
yeah,
boom,
yeah,
boom,
yeah,
whatever, boom, boom, break my freaking heart. That guy. And I'm waiting, and I'm the guy. Okay, done.
We have some people in the room
that hasn't heard about it.
Covering their ears.
But I literally waited till after the credits to see if put your ears back in. If he came back, because I'm like, is he gone? Is it like? And I didn't see. I'm like, oh my god, it's gone. Like, then I saw an interview with him, and we had to do it. Can bring him back. Yeah. But it was brilliant. And I loved. It's Pixar at its peak.
Yeah.
I think it's Pixar at what Pixar does the best. Or I think The Good Dinosaurs Pixar did worse.
Well, it's the only one that lost money.
Yeah. It is, honestly, I didn't like The Dinosaur. I watched it with my girls. I was just sitting there going, you got to be kidding me. Like, I was beautiful. It looked gorgeous, but the story was just, I just didn't like it,
I pretty much agree with almost everything you just said. I mean, I think that Spotlight, I thought was technically an incredible film. I thought the script was ridiculously tight. The filmmaking I thought was outstanding. It is not a flashy film, which is of course the argument against everybody, but it is a clinic.
It's clinical. Yeah. That's a great word. It's clinical. Like Textbook.
Screenwriting, filmmaking. I mean, just really the
Boom,
Now, I've
boom,
heard some people-
performance.
I've actually had some friends in the industry as well who have killed Spotlight a little bit for no character development. But I think when you're dealing with an ensemble piece like that,
But the
you only have
subject matter is like
and
you don't want a character to take over.
no, you can't.
The character is the subject matter,
And that's
these
why I
guys
think
are-
the ensemble thing was so important,
Oh.
and why they didn't. One of the cool things about Spotlight, I don't know if some people I'm sure know this, but
Mhm.
the cast immediately said, even before they started filming, nobody is the lead. Nobody is going to campaign for Best Actor in
No,
this.
no.
And so they all went after Best Supporting Actor. They said they didn't even go after it. They said they nominate us. They nominate us. They nominate us.
Mhm.
That was kind of beautiful in its own.
It's
way.
wonderful, yeah.
And it shows on the screen because they're all putting in everything. And that's the other thing I love. So it's a clinic, on the writing standpoint, on the filmmaking standpoint, and the acting standpoint. I think it's a brilliant script.
Mhm.
Inside Out, I could not agree with you more. I just think it's a
Like
genius. script.
how do you write that?
I
Like
don't even know.
how do you do that? Like I was sitting there watching this, like who in their right mind comes up with like they've made characters out of our emotions, and it's just like, and then the lands, the
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
and then the
Just
guy,
brilliant.
it's just brilliant. Everything was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now, can we before we move on? Can
Well,
we?
wait, I have to finish.
Sorry.
But I am rooting for,
Uh-huh.
and I am pulling for
Uh-huh.
Ex Machina. And the reason why I
I
am,
would. I see you. I feel you.
as a screenwriter myself, this is his first film. He's written other things before, of course. I thought the writing and the execution of it,
Yeah.
and again, I don't want to get to the execution as far as the filmmaking because we're talking about the writing, but
Mhm.
one does obviously go lockstep with the
Mhm.
other. This reminds me of, and it's one of my favorite wins of all time in this category.
Mhm.
I was young, but I remember it. The Usual Suspects winning.
Yeah.
And when the Usual Suspects went up against all these bigger films, and it was a $4 million indie,
Mhm.
and not a lot of people had seen it,
Mhm.
and
But it's the usual.
and Chris McQuarrie went up there and basically said, if I could do it, anyone can do it. This is very positive. And I remember that speech. This Ex Machina to me feels like, and you're right, I think it should have been nominated for more things.
Oh, absolutely.
But it feels to me like this is sort of a David versus Goliath thing, and I'd love to see it steal it. And I got to tell you, word around town,
Mhm.
because for a while there, a lot of people thought Inside Out was a shoo-in,
Mhm.
and that there was a Spotlight fans as well. A lot of people around town feel like there's a ton of momentum for this because they feel like, for exactly what we just said, a lot of people around town feel like it should have been nominated for more,
And they want to give it
and
something.
they want to give it something. So
It
it's
might
gonna be interesting.
be. Look. Pixar doesn't need any more Oscars on its mantle. So I mean, I'm not
And
gonna
it's
cry.
winning animation.
It's gonna win animation.
Yeah.
No, well, no.
Oh, you don't think so?
No,
Spoiler
We'll
alert.
get into that. But before we move on, can we just all come together and thank God that Michael Keaton's back?
Oh God!
He was
Birdman
back last year, but he didn't. That wasn't. He didn't pull a Mickey Rourke.
Yeah. No. Right.
Yeah, he didn't.
Right.
He just didn't like and I'm out.
Right.
No, he's back.
And now he's playing Ray Kroc. He's playing. He's
He's
going to play
back.
the founder of McDonald's. What an exciting
I
role!
mean,
Gunfire,
murder, French fries. It's
It's
crazy.
going to be crazy.
No, but
Cray,
it's cray, as the kids say on the street.
and at McDonald's.
And McDonald's.
Yeah.
Michael, I've been since Clean and Sober back in the day.
Come on, Night Shift.
Night Shift. No. But Clean and Sober was like when you first
Yeah.
saw him go,
Oh,
whoa,
yeah.
whoa, he can act.
Yeah, you can actually act.
Yeah, Night Shift and
Yeah. Oh, my
Beetlejuice
God.
and all those
One of
other
the best entries.
Mr. Mom. I mean, we can go back, but Birdman, and we won't talk about Birdman because it's been talked about that. But when I saw Birdman last year, I was just like,
Yeah.
my mouth was on the floor as a director. I'm so glad that won last year
Oh, me too.
because it's such an odd pick for the Academy.
No doubt.
I couldn't believe that they actually won, and a Latino won Best Director and Best Writer and Best everything.
Yeah.
But I think Michael was robbed. I wish.
Oh, I thought he was
wish he
totally
would have
robbed.
just gotten it.
I so agree.
Oh,
I
God.
so agree. And I thought that to be blunt, we haven't gotten there yet, but I think that he should have been nominated over Ruffalo if you were going to pick somebody from Spotlight. I thought Ruffalo was very good, but I thought Keaton. I thought Keaton was fantastic.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, so let's.
Where are we moving?
Um.
Where you want to go?
Well, I mean, I could talk visual effects, but that's just me because I took that.
Oh, God,
No.
no. I'm going to get off this page. I'm going to get off this page.
All right,
Not
let's
to
get-
give shift to anybody, but, we don't want to be off for 6 hours.
All right. Let's just go into let's go to animated features since we were talking
Okay.
about that.
Yep.
So I would agree that Inside Out pretty much is a lock,
Yeah.
but Charlie Kaufman
Yeah.
Kaufman has done something that no one has ever done before.
I don't know if anybody's seen it.
I agree. I don't think anyone's seen it. But if there was someone who could take
Could
it,
upset it, yeah.
it could be that. That would be all that.
I just think that this is a foregone conclusion. I was actually surprised, not surprised, but I did think that there was a very good shot that it would have been in the Best Picture category.
I thought so too.
And,
I thought so too.
I think there might be a prevailing feeling out there that if you put it into the Best Picture category, you're wasting it because it's not going to win. So put it in the animated feature film where it's going to win.
Mhm.
I can't see it losing.
There you go. I know that's a real dark
Yeah.
horse. It's a dark horse. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Cinematography. This is something I would definitely like to have a conversation about.
Let's go. Let's name read them off.
Carol,
Mhm.
Hateful Eight,
Mhm.
Mad Max, The Reverend, and Sicario.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any way that The Reverend doesn't win.
Really?
Now, with that said, Hateful Eight was gorgeous, but nothing compared to what The Reverend did. Mad Max, stunning.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I'm going with The Reverend is that he used no lights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's done something that no one has ever done prior to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll talk about The Reverend and my feelings about the movie in general, but on a technical and cinematography standpoint, it was such a stunning piece of work that, I mean, and if you watch did you see the behind the scenes, the documentary about it? It's like a 44-minute documentary.
No, I haven't.
I mean, they were mad. I mean, the whole movie was crazy.
Yeah,
They did. They almost killed Leo twice
Right.
and the whole thing. Hopefully they'll give him the Oscar so he doesn't try to kill himself anymore. But I don't think there's anyone.
And you mean by that, you mean acting-wise.
Acting-wise, and going so deep as an actor that he almost kills himself.
Not like in a bathroom in Van Nuys.
No, not in a bathroom in Van Nuys. I'm saying as an actor in Van Nuys. He would never be caught dead of it. No, I'm joking. I think The Reverend, I don't think there's even a question. The only one that might upset it would be either Mad Max or Hateful Eight, but I think the Hateful Eight with the whole 70mm thing and Deacons, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but the movie takes place, I guess, 70% inside of a room.
Yeah.
And Mad Max is gorgeous, but there's so many other things great about Mad Max that I think that what the guy did in Reverend is,
I agree with you. It's the most beautiful film of the year, as far as beautiful looking film of the year. I think this is a really interesting category that, would have been more interesting had that film not been so beautiful, because if it was a little bit closer. Sicario, I can get into all day why I did not enjoy. I saw this film at Cannes.
I'm with you. I didn't enjoy Sicario.
I didn't either. I think it was the most passive female protagonist in the history. They made such a big deal out of this female protagonist, and she's the most passive female protagonist in the history of film.
But the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, yes, fine.
Yeah.
And in the scene in the tunnel, fine. But to me, that's Deakins too. I mean, Deakins is amazing. The guy is incredible. Even I just went to go see Hail Caesar, and I love the Coens. Didn't particularly love the movie, but the movie's beautiful.
Uh-huh.
He's just unreal. He's just a master.
Yeah.
And he's been nominated, I think, 13 times now.
No,
and he hasn't won once. And
I
he's
didn't know that.
Well, he's going to lose again.
Yeah.
And unfortunately.
And you know who won last year?
Last 2 years. He won for Gravity, and then he won for Birdman.
He's on
so
the road.
This is what I'm going to say. This might be the one. So Carol has no shot. The Hateful Eight, I completely agree with you. 70mm. It was supposed to be this big, grand, beautiful thing, and The Revenant blows it away as far as the book is concerned.
Absolutely.
And you have the 70mm, this whole thing about Panavision and everything.
And you're in a room.
And you're in a room. For, like you said, 70-80% of the movie. I think that because he's won 2 years in a row,
that they might give it to Deacon.
I think they might give it to
so it's political.
I don't think it's gonna be
so it's political, not on merit.
Maybe not, but there's also, I think, a lot of people, and it's not, I don't think they're going to give it to Deakins. I think they might give it to Mad Max, because I think that it was such a difficult shoot also. I think it gets minimized because of what went on with The Revenant.
Yeah.
But I think it was such a difficult shoot, and it is a gorgeous shoot.
It is gorgeous.
It's a beautiful movie to look at.
It's gorgeous.
That I think they might go there. So I think that might be your upset. If I had a vote, though, I'm with you. It would be The Revenant, because I just think it's an incredibly
stunning
beautiful looking film.
It's absolutely stunning.
How about documentary?
It's all you.
Oh, it's all me.
It's all you because I have not seen. I am sorry. I have not.
Look,
had the time.
I think that, I have my top 10 list of films of the year. Number, I think 4 or 5 on my list is What Happened to Miss Simone. An incredible movie. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. You need to watch it. Beautifully done. Cartel Land just won the DGA, so that has that going for it. Also a very beautiful, also on Netflix right now. Cartel Land just landed on
Netflix does not sponsor us at all.
No. It just landed.
Though if you would like to, Netflix, please give us a call.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If you'd like to stream this, Cartel Land, I think has a little bit of an advantage because of the DGA win. Certainly,
it's also topical.
It's topical, and the director. I mean, the director,
I've heard nothing but
he's a great guy. Not only is he a great guy, but he put himself in. I got to see him speak at the DGA. He what he put himself in the middle of is no joke. So I think that has some really, really strong pull. Amy, I thought is I think number 10 on my list. I have 3 docs on my list. One of them, the one that's not here, is Listen to Me, Marlon, which is the Marlon Brando documentary, which I believe is on either Showtime or HBO streaming. You got to check that out. If you're a creative of any kind, you can need to check out the Marlon Brando documentary. All told in his own voice. I got to see it at Sundance last year. He narrates his own documentary, basically, from Beyond the Grave. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. But I think that the one that I loved, and I was a little bit surprised by Cartel. Not surprised, because it's fantastic, but winning the DGA is What Happened to Simone. I just thought it was an incredible film. And Liz Garbus directed it and did an amazing job at it. So I recommend those 3 out of the 5 if you, and they're all available out there to watch. Amy, I thought was Amy is, for a movie where where it's going, is unbelievably heartbreaking.
Really,
it is such a tough movie to watch, because you see this incredibly talented woman who is surrounded by all the wrong people, and it doesn't play like a behind the music special. It plays it plays like a human tragedy. And nobody threw her a lifeline, and it was a really tough movie to watch. It really was. And the cool story about Amy is that the director, the film came to him. He lived like one town away from where she lived, and I've been to our town. It's really interesting. It's a small community. And he said, all you would do is hear stories about her. He goes, but I never wanted to make a film about her. He goes, and then all of a sudden, nobody wanted to talk to me. He goes, but then all of a sudden, one person would talk, and the next person would talk, and then the whole movies would come out, and then the love would come out, and then he had a movie. And it's really an interesting story. So I got to tell you, I thought the documentaries this year in particular were stronger than the narratives. I thought some of the documentaries out there were incredible.
That's been a theme
for a while.
For a while now. Those documentaries are basically the only journalism going on nowadays. We could go into that conversation.
Very well said. Very well said. All right.
I'm just gonna touch on costume design. Just gonna touch on it.
You touch on it. This is all you now.
I'm gonna say Mad Max.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say Mad Max because the Reverend. There's a bunch of, and I'm not gonna
people in fur.
People in fur. I'm not gonna downplay that. Danish Girls, the classic stuff. Cinderella is always like all the pretty dresses, and the Carol. And
Carol's people in fur.
Man, what they did in Mad Max is insane. What they did in Mad Max was insane.
I totally agree with you.
And just because my crowd's watching, I'm going to talk visual effects for a second.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Visual effects. I'm going to say, and you might find this surprising, Star Wars, by far. And the reason why I do that, yes, the bear was awesome in The Reverend, but what they did in Star Wars, how they did it, the mixture of the practical effects, how they were able to bring us back into that world, it's by far, I think it's the best. I think what they did in Mad Max was great. The Martian, fine. Ex Machina was gorgeous. That was clinical, like you were saying. It's clinical, but what they were able to add to the story of Star Wars, because it's all visual effects, I think it is masterful. So that's my opinion of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's interesting. We start getting into all these technical ones. I wonder if Mad Max is going to run the table in some of these.
No, there's absolutely no way Mad Max will win.
You don't think so?
I'd put money down that there would not be a chance that Mad Max would win.
Because of visual effects, yeah.
It's
sound
visual
mixing,
effect.
sound editing. I wonder where that.
No, but those are all competing against Star Wars too. But
Yeah.
I can see sound mixing or sound editing winning for Mad Max.
Not visual effects.
That is the sound that they did in Mad Max was
Incredible.
ridiculous.
Incredible.
And Star Wars is known for sound and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the visual effects that they pulled out in Star Wars, there isn't anything else out here that has full CG characters that you don't even know if they're CG or not, because there's a lot of practical guys walking around in masks.
Yeah.
So I was looking, I'm like, even with a trained eye, you're like, is that real? Is it not real?
Mm-hmm.
So I think what they did this year wins. That's my opinion.
I have a feeling we're going to be talking more about Star Wars
In a little bit.
and we get to the Best Picture. I have a feeling
There might be a conversation.
before it.
There might be a conversation.
All right.
There might be a conversation.
All right.
Any of the other technical ones, the production design, I'm going to go Mad Max on that one as well. Though The Revenant was beautiful, but I mean, again, the world that they created in Mad Max, it was insane.
I think they're going to take a lot of these categories. I said, the sound editing, sound mixing.
Mhm.
I like I said, maybe an upset in the cinematography, possibly. But again, best original song.
Is
Is that where you're going?
Score.
Oh, score.
Hateful Eight. It's gonna go because
It's
because
gonna
him.
go. Yeah,
It's him.
Yeah.
It's him.
Yeah.
He has to get it.
Yeah.
He's never won, right?
I don't believe he has.
Iran. Oh God, I can't say his name. Marconi. Yes,
Yep.
he's never won. I don't particularly think it's his best work.
Well, and half of it comes from The Thing.
Right.
Yes.
But it is. But I think they'll give it to him. I think so. I don't think John Williams is going to take it again.
No, not for that movie.
I don't think they're going to give it to him again.
I see where you're going. Yeah.
No. For music.
Yeah.
John Williams is not going to win for Star Wars again.
Yeah.
Makeup. I'm going Mad Max. Film editing. I'm going to go Mad Max on that one as well. Though The Big Short. Though The Big Short, I would argue on The Big Short on that.
It's going to be interesting. I think Mad Max has a shot at this one too.
Mhm.
With a big shot at it. The Big Short is sort of the flashy, with all the cuts and with all the stuff.
It's flashy, man, but I've been an editor for years, and when I saw The Big Short, I was sitting there watching it, going, "My God!" What they did and how he told that story is so beautiful.
It was a pretty, again, for a story that's that dry and that to be able to turn it into what he turned it into was pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
There's no question.
Absolutely.
Why don't we move into
To the big boys?
the acting categories?
Let's go into the big boys.
So, all right. So we have actress in a supporting role. Jennifer Jason Leigh for The Hateful Eight, Rooney Mara for Carol, Rachel McAdams for Spotlight, Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl, not for Ex Machina, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
and Kate Winslet for Steve Jobs. I got to tell you, I was surprised by the Winslet nomination. I actually thought she was pretty good, but that was the only nomination that Steve Jobs got, which was a little bit of a surprise.
No, it wasn't. What's his name? Got it. Fassbender.
Oh, Fassbender's that.
Yeah,
That's right.
Fassbender,
But he got no nothing for
Screenwriter.
Sorkin, and
Which I thought honestly was a great script. For what he did 3 scenes.
I thought it was a pretty good movie. I
enjoyed the movie.
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised by that snub.
Okay.
I wouldn't even call it a snub. I was surprised by that admission. Let's say.
Mhm.
The front runner here is well, it's kind of gone back and forth, but Vikander has been winning a lot of the
Mhm.
Guild Awards and everything like that. I loved Jennifer Jason Leigh.
She was
in Hateful
wonderful.
Eight.
She was
It
absolutely.
was the only thing that I really loved about the movie.
And if you want, we can talk about the Hateful Eight now, since you've already.
Let's talk a little bit about the Hateful Eight.
All right. I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. Absolutely monstrous Tarantino fan. I've been a fan of his since Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction. I don't like Jackie Brown. I'm one of the few people that don't like Jackie Brown.
We will differ on that.
We will differ. Maybe I can watch it now. I saw it twice. I haven't seen it in a decade.
Watch it again.
Maybe it'll be different. But by far, I think The Hateful Eight is the worst Tarantino movie made.
I agree with you.
I think it's the worst one. I think that Quentin has drank a little too much of Tarantino juice.
I think he needs an editor. I think he needs.
I think he misses his editor.
I think he misses an editor. I think he needs. Well, you know what? I think the most damning. The thing that when I went to, I had the opportunity to see this movie a month before it came out,
Mhm.
which was interesting for me
Right.
because I really went in on a high. I was like, I can't wait to see it. I'm getting this advanced chance to see it and see it in the 70 millimeter, see the road show, the whole deal. The room I was in were all people in the industry that when they were outside in the lobby before it started,
Right.
sucking on their wines and their beers, they were all out of their minds, excited.
Of course.
They were hyped up. There was
Of
energy
course.
in the room.
Of course.
And you could feel that energy
Just drain.
coming out of the room. People were not laughing. As we mentioned before we came on the show, about half the room, if not more, left before the Q&A.
Which is it's a no-no.
A no-no at the guilds.
Mhm.
You know, it doesn't happen at the guilds. People do not leave.
Mhm.
And I will say that Tarantino wasn't speaking. It was all the producers.
Mhm.
But still, you know, it's Producers Guild. They're all
Yeah,
producers. They all know
yeah.
each other. It's
Sure,
a small
sure.
world. It's a small business.
Yeah.
People left. And I found myself, you know, in the third act, I found myself laughing a little bit at it and getting, you know, that typical thing that you do with the Tarantino movie because it's so over the top. But
it's so over the top. But
it's so over the top.
It is over the top. And I mean, look, he killed Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay, like he's over the top. But that's an amazing movie.
Well, I didn't think that was over the top.
I'm
joking.
Seriously. So, I mean, Tarantino's known for being over the top. I mean, Pulp Fiction and all the other movies,
right.
You know. But I just felt that as I was watching, I'm like, oh my God, he actually felt that he could pull this off.
Yeah.
Because this is what he did was not easy. Like to sit there with basically, it's a play.
It is a play.
It's a play.
It's a chamber piece.
It's a play. It's a play. Great acting. You know, everyone who did the dialogue is, of course, dialogue and Tarantino dialogue. But the story, I'm just sitting there going, dude, this could have been an hour and a half.
That's the thing.
It could have been an hour and a half out the door. It didn't have to be shot 70 mil. You know, if it was all outside, if it was Ben-Hur, if it was something that's all epic and sinister, I get it. But you do that for like the first parts of the movie, and then the rest of the movie, you're inside of a freaking room.
Yeah.
It's a waste. And again, my humble opinion, I don't think, you know, I was super excited when I heard it. I saw the trailer. I drank the 70 miller Kool-Aid. I mean, I was all into it. I'm like, oh, I gotta go back and film's back, you know, and like, you know, let's do this. And I was there, but when I saw it, I was just like, wow. And then it just died.
There's no suspense. And it died. Yeah, it died. I think that's the biggest thing about this is that didn't get the writing nomination.
No.
Didn't get the pitch nomination.
And look, when you're a screenwriter and you come out and say,
this is the best I've written.
No, not only that it's the best I've written, he goes, I need to break the record and win the best screenplay. Right. Like only Woody Allen did it, and he did it in 12 years or something like that. I'm going to do it in 10. When you have that sense of arrogance, because that's arrogant, and there's confidence and there's arrogance.
Right.
And I love Quentin. I love his confidence, and sometimes I even like his arrogance. But I think he finally overstepped. I think he finally did it. I mean, with Death Proof, he kind of did that as well. Though I enjoyed Death Proof a hell of a lot more than I enjoyed Hateful Eight. But I just think he overstepped finally, and I think he got smacked for it. I'm curious to see how he's going to come back. And he's like, I'm only making 10 movies. I'm like, this whole thing, like, dude, I get you. You're awesome. You're like one of the best filmmakers of your generation. I'm not taking anything away from you, dude, but humble it down a bit.
Well, and if you don't feel humbled at this, because not only getting smacked down by the Academy, it's getting smacked down by the audience.
No one showed. Yeah, no one showed, and he didn't have any big stars though. You know, Chatham is in it and all that, but he didn't. And Sam Jackson and Sam Jackson doesn't pull movies like that unless he's in a Marvel movie, and he's got a supporting cast.
And he was perfectly fine. I think,
the performance was great.
Fine. I mean, the performances are great and everything like that. I think the other part of it is that the Weinstein Company enabled him with the 70 millimeter in the roadshow, and then the bad press with the projectors breaking and all. It was just such a clusterfuck in every way.
It was.
And then the film itself was one as well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to Best Supporting Actress and Jennifer Jason Leigh. And why
the highlight of the entire movie. The highlight of the entire movie was Jennifer Jason Leigh. I think she was. I'm just glad that she's back.
I love having her back.
I love having her back. You know, for guys like us from our generation, we all remember Jennifer Jason Leigh. Being who she was, and not that I don't think she's been under a stone for the last 15 years, but she hasn't been in big movies in the public eye, and I'm so glad that she's back, and I think she's wonderful, absolutely wonderful in this movie. She's vicious. She's just she's all in. She was all in. I love Kurt Russell in it too. I think Kurt Russell
was very good.
I thought Kurt Russell was really good.
I thought everybody was good. I really did. I thought everybody was fantastic. They were all fine. I thought a couple of the characters were underwritten. I hated seeing Michael Madsen in that kind of role where he had nothing to do. And that was the other thing about the script that really drove me nuts was that really outside of Jennifer Jason Leigh, Samuel Jackson, and Kurt Russell for pretty much the first half of the movie, not a lot of people have really much to do. The other guy too, I always forget his name. He's another Tarantino favorite who played the sheriff.
Eric Roth. Oh no, oh yeah, I know you're talking about. I forgot.
Who was excellent.
He was excellent.
He was fantastic. And but a lot of the other players, the other 4 of the 8, even though there were like 15 people in the movie, so I don't even know where the Hateful Eight even comes from. Because there was like 15 people. By the time you got to the third act, there were all these other people that came in, and then Channing Tatum comes out of the floor.
Spoiler alert.
That's all everywhere. I didn't spoil anything.
But the blood was a bit much.
Well, that's what when I said
It was
over
like-
the top.
yeah.
I didn't mean over. I know Tarantino's over the top. That's not what I'm saying. And you illustrated that well by
Yeah.
saying he killed Hitler.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that it got to be like it got.
No,
to the
it
point
got
where
comical.
just so
It was
comedy.
it became.
And I know he's going for that a little bit.
No, but it was
just like all right already.
it was basically Quentin completely unleashed.
Yeah.
Like he had no reins.
None.
You could tell he had no one said no.
Yeah.
To anything he said. Now you could argue that he had the same freedom in Django, which was amazing. He had the same freedom in Inglourious Bastards. But if he did have those freedoms, he lost. He just I don't know what he was doing in this, but that's my opinion.
You said something terrific too. I'm curious to see how he rebounds now. Like, what does he do from here? Where does he go? I know now he wants to take it to Broadway, which when the movie made $44 million, you want to go to Broadway.
And cost 70.
And cost 70.
Plus with all the projectors and the film and all that crap.
God, the Weinsteins must be.
No, but yeah, I mean, they might be doing that, but Quentin's been real good to them.
No, I know.
So
but they were in a little bit of a precarious financial position. There
yeah,
for a little bit.
and they were hoping that this was gonna
be the one that was.
This is the big boy coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know, because he made such a hoopla over this movie and such a thing, and he kept talking about it and he kept doing this. And I think that also the whole thing with the cops and stuff, I don't think that helped.
Didn't help.
It didn't help.
Didn't help, but look, you can take all that out of the way, and the movie's just not a great movie.
Amen.
So you are looking for Jennifer Jason Leigh?
I think it's Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Vic Candace seems to be the ingenue of the moment.
I think what Kate did was amazing. What Kate Winslet did and Steve Jobs.
She was very good. I think that Vic Candace also is going to have the advantage of people. I think people loved her in Ex Machina.
And they'll give her some love.
And they'll give her some love for that.
Possibly.
Because she could have easily been nominated there as well. She was fantastic. And the fact that she was up against Redmayne in The Danish Girl and held her own and and all that. Who knows? But I would from a personal deep down heart, I'd love to see
Jennifer Jason. They could bring her back.
JJL win.
JJL. So, but we could just skip right over Best Supporting Actor because we all know who's going to win that one.
We do.
At least we all hope it's going to be Sly.
Yep. And we got Christian Bale for The Big Short,
who was really good. He was a little
freaky with that thing.
He was a little freaky
in that thing.
Tom Hardy, I don't agree with.
Tom Hardy, I actually thought. I got to tell you,
he was good.
We're gonna get into. I mean, I loved Leo, and I got to tell you, I have my issues. I thought Tom Hardy was great in the. I think he's great in anything. He's the type of guy.
What's the most underrated Tom Hardy movie?
Locke.
Besides that one, Warrior.
I mean, but he's great in everything. I watched Locke and then The Drop on back-to-back nights.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was just sitting there going, "How is this the same guy?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just unreal. He's
an amazing actor. He's one of the best of his generation.
He's fantastic.
He's wonderful.
He won't win here.
No.
I was just saying.
Mark's not showing up. He's not winning.
Mark Ruffalo.
He's boycotting too.
Oh, is he boycotting?
Yeah, he boycotted. And Mark's boycotting.
Okay, so Ruffalo's not going. I actually thought, like I said earlier, that Keaton deserved the spot maybe a little bit more. He was perfectly fine, Ruffalo. I just like Keaton. And Mark Rylance is somebody that everybody loves. He's probably the second favorite in this category as far as what you're hearing around town.
Yeah.
But there's no way that
I don't see a way that Stallone doesn't win. Yeah. He's won everything else.
And I mean, look, man.
Come on, it's been 40 years.
And he was great in the role.
He was wonderful.
He was terrific.
And I don't think he's coming. I don't think he's coming back
to the podium
anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't been here in 40 years.
Yeah.
So this is his moment. And I think everybody knows that this is his moment. And for God's sakes, what the man has done for cinema history over the course of his career, it's not just for Creed.
Yeah.
It's for everything.
And if it was the only character he had ever created, it would have been enough.
If he would have just made Rocky and went and just did the Rocky movies and never did anything else, you're good.
Well, you figure the Rocky movies, Jaws, and Shawshank pretty much made TNT and TBS, the entire network. the entire network wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the Rocky
Touche.
movies, Jaws, and Shawshank.
Gosh, Shawshank. They have like, do they get paid per minute? Like, Jesus, it's on all the time.
It's like it's Jaws week. It's Shawshank week.
week.
It's an endless loop of Shawshank. We're playing Rocky. We're playing Rocky 9. It hasn't been made yet, and it's going to be on.
Is that it? No, they're doing another Creed.
They're going to do another Creed.
Yeah.
That's the word on the street.
Did
you hear this? Did you hear the first rumor that they were talking about with the new Creed?
What?
They were actually talking about, because the computers have advanced so much.
No, what are they going to do?
Going back in time with Stallone and
What is Back to the Future?
and Carl Weathers, and actually showing them in another movie, like between like 3 and when he dies in 4. That was
Spoiler alert. No, I'm joking.
And Stallone said,
"Oh yeah, we could do that. It's not bad." Oh my God, really?
Yo.
Well, and let's talk about Creed, because Creed was one of those movies that
Yes.
people were talking about.
Yeah,
like, why isn't it nominated? Why isn't this or
Michael
that?
B. Jordan.
Mike B. Jordan. Like, look, I thought Creed was great. I think what the director did with Creed is remarkable, because he revitalized a franchise that had no business being revitalized. Because I think what Stallone did with Rocky Balboa, that was good.
Great send off.
Great, we're done. Better than Rocky 5.
Well, Rocky 5 never happened.
That just ignore. Everyone
It never
ignores Rocky 5. So when we're from 4 to
Right, 4 to Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, exactly. And
actually, even Rocky Balboa ignored 5 in the plot line.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
No, completely. Like, we just there's no Tommy Gunn. Who's this Tommy Gunn? That's just a dream.
It was just a fever dream.
So what he was able to do with Creed, and to put a new spin on Rocky and bring Rocky back somehow, was great. I think Michael B. Jordan was awesome in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think he deserved a nod, but I think he was really, really good with it. And I think the director was really good in it. I don't think it was Best Picture material, but I applaud what he did. And God bless the kid. God bless the guy. He knocked on Stallone's door. He's like, I got this script, and he's like, what, another Rocky movie? Are you crazy? So nothing but props for him to do what he did. But I don't think he's just because he's African American and they're all African American, it doesn't mean that you have to get an Oscar nod. I'll put Straight Outta Compton
ahead of that. Me
personally.
I didn't enjoy Straight Outta Compton as much as you did, but I think it's a better cinematic experience, and as far as if we're talking about this level and everything like that, I thought Creed was excellent. I thought I couldn't agree with everything you said any more than I couldn't put it even better than you said it in any way. Great acting in a popcorn movie, what I feel was more of a popcorn, a little more prestigious popcorn movie maybe, but or a little higher elevated popcorn movie, but a popcorn movie all the same. I didn't think it was the Best Picture nominee. I didn't think it was the Best Director nominee. I didn't think it was Best Actor nominee. I absolutely get why Stallone was nominated.
Of course.
There are a couple of scenes. There's.
Just want to tear up.
Yeah, and there's like one moment where I'm not going to give it away if you haven't seen it, but you'll know it when you see it, and it's just a reaction moment upon him hearing something, and it's just a reaction there. I went like it just ripped you. It was 40 years of that character in his face at that moment.
But he is that character. There is no one else. It's him. They're one and the same. Stallone is Rocky. Rocky is Stallone. It's just more than Rambo, more than any other character he's ever created. Yeah, he's that guy, and it was just it was so beautiful to watch him bring that back. And he's Mickey. Yeah, he's freaking Mickey. Yeah, man, and it's like Jesus, man. Like it's brilliant.
I wonder who's going to play him when they reboot it next year. Right. Moving on. Actress in the
Matt Damon. I think Matt Damon would be fantastic.
Oh my God!
Can you imagine?
They'd riot.
All right, so
actress in the leading role.
I'll go.
You want to read them down?
Kate Blanchett, Brie Larson for Room, Jennifer Lawrence for Joy, Charlotte Rampling for 45 Years, and I can't say that name.
I actually looked this up
for
today.
Brooklyn.
It's
Saoirse Ronan for Brooklyn. I think Brie is a lock.
Yeah.
I think Brie's a lock because she played in a room.
It was a room. This was a movie that was very true to its title.
I mean,
at least the first hour.
You don't get surprises really Like it's
Room.
It's a room.
Yeah.
I think she's great. I think Jennifer Lawrence was wonderful in Joy. I think.
God, did you see this? You saw this one?
I saw Joy. I didn't.
Can we talk about that?
Sure. Let's talk a little Joy.
Can we talk a little bit about Joy?
Yeah.
What the hell was going on in Joy?
You know, I'm gonna say I enjoyed Joy, and I'll tell you what. I'm gonna tell you why I enjoyed Joy.
Please let me sit back and hear this.
I enjoyed. I think it's not as much I enjoyed Joy as much I enjoyed Jennifer Lawrence.
She's great,
and I think because she is the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Without her, it doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's a little bit all over the place. I think Bradley Cooper just showed up and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And really,
40 minutes in,
yeah, like, "Hey, what's going on?" And it wasn't really, there's problems with the movie.
Yeah,
there's no questions. There's a problem with the movie, but I was just so enthralled with basically the Meryl Streep of her generation, Jennifer Lawrence.
She is fantastic. The movie is a mess.
It's a mess.
I did like how
It's a hot mess, actually, but I still enjoyed it because of Jennifer.
I did enjoy the scene towards the end. I'm not giving anything away.
Sure.
But I did enjoy the scene at the end when she morphs into Don Corleone.
Yes.
I enjoyed
That
that
was
very
a great
much.
scene. That was a great scene. Yeah.
I almost came out of my seat because this was so out of the realm.
It was just like, so you want to be on
Yeah,
QVC?
you want to be on QVC?
You want to be on QVC? You come to me only asking for QVC. You don't buy my mops before QVC. No, I'm joking.
You come here on the day of my family's funeral, of my family member's funeral, and ask me to be on QVC.
It's crazy.
I didn't know what the hell was going on there. This is a really tough category for me personally, and I'll tell you why.
Because you love Brooklyn.
Yeah, and it comes down to these two guys. Brie Larson and Henry's sitting over here is a film producer. We talk about her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Brie was in a movie called Short Term 12 a few years ago, which was my favorite film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2012, 2013. My favorite independent film.
But didn't Brie just come out of nowhere? She's on overnight success,
Yeah,
right? She's
20,
never
20 years.
She just showed up.
Yeah,
And
people
just
don't know she's been acting since she was 6.
Yeah, exactly.
But she was so great in Short Term 12. I thought it was it was a film that I think in the wrong hands could have been very cliche.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so nuanced and so great. And I loved her, instantly in that film. I loved her in Room.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. I thought she was the best. Well, and the kid Tremblay is. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love the film. I loved her, and I loved him, and I loved the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But Saoirse Ronan in Brooklyn, I thought was one of the best performances I've seen in years. I thought she was unbelievable. She's 21 years old. I think she was 13 when she was nominated for Atonement. So she has some experience and some chops.
Okay, yeah.
She's been around. She actually has been. This is actually her second nomination at 21 years old.
Mm-hmm. So she's the Kate Winslet of her generation, because that's kind of the way Kate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she was 19 when they filmed this, or 20 when they filmed this, and you will not see a more nuanced performance.
At such a young age.
At such a young age, she blew me out of the water. And the unfortunate thing is, she's running into this buzzsaw. That's not saying unfortunate, because I don't mind Brie winning either. I think she's incredible. I think she's going to.
But she'll be back, though.
She'll be back. But just from a straight performance standpoint, man, I don't think I saw a better performance this year.
There you go.
So we'll see what happens.
Leading role.
Actor in a leading role.
Yes, go for it.
Well, Bryan Cranston in Trumbo, which has a lot of people up in arms, and they feel like that might have been the spot they took away from like Idris Elba. Mm-hmm. Matt Damon for The Martian, another one. Mm-hmm. Leo for The Revenant. Mm-hmm. Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs, and Eddie Redmayne for The Danish Girl. The pushback in this category when it comes to the diversity issue is that a lot of people feel that they're all
white.
Well, that is a good point.
You're saying that they're all white.
You know what? I just realized that.
They're all white. They might be from different countries, but they're all white.
How did I miss that? But I think the thing that a lot of people feel that 4 of the 5, you can kind of question in a way. Trumbo was a movie that nobody saw. Right. Matt Damon in The Martian, you said very well, we love Matt and everything like that. But, I definitely didn't feel like an Oscar performance. Mm-hmm. Fassbender I thought was phenomenal in Steve Jobs. A lot of people had a problem with him. A lot of people didn't really see
because he's not. Look,
he
doesn't look like Steve Jobs, but he did play him.
He was incredible. I thought he was fantastic.
He's also an amazing.
Yeah, he's incredible. Oh, he's incredible. And Redmayne, obviously won last year, and a lot of people felt, stunt this, stunt that. But take that away. Mm-hmm. A lot of people feel like this is the category where when they talk about some of the actors in Straight Outta Compton, or some of the, or we said earlier, Idris Elba, or Michael B. Jordan, that this is where it could be. I don't know if I can argue with that. I would have put Idris Elba ahead of a few of these people here. We said it earlier. You know, we all know Leo's winning for The Revenant.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think he was robbed for What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Oh,
I think he was robbed for What's Eating Gilbert Grape. You know, and whether you like Titanic or not, I think he should have gotten a nod.
He should have gotten a nod.
You know, so look, he's always been the bridesmaid, never the bride, and I think someone said it out there in the blogosphere. He's like, would you please give it to Leo so he doesn't stop trying to kill himself doing these parts to get the damn Oscar. I saw this great thing on Facebook. It was Matthew McConaughey. Yeah. In Wolf of Wall Street, and when you're like, but he had the Oscar in his hand, and you got Leo just going like that. So it's like, I get it. Leo absolutely should get it. I don't think he out of
what do you think of the performance though? Talk to me. Let's take away, whether he's winning Oscars or winning, just the performance itself. What do you think about it? You know what? I mean, this can lead right into the Reverend conversation, but I think Leo did a great job in it. I don't think it's his best work by any stretch. I thought he was better in Wolf of Wall Street. I thought he was better in, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, still probably one of the best performances he's ever done. He's been better in a lot of movies. I mean, he was better in The Departed, I thought. I think he was better in other parts, but the sheer brutality of what he had to deal with. But I think that's why he's getting it.
He's getting it not purely for his acting, but because he's alive. That he made it through, as I think one of the main reasons why he's getting it. And it's not a bad performance by any stretch.
No, it's not. No.
But it's not his best work, and I would argue that maybe Michael Fassbender was a better choice to win out of these guys. Yeah. I didn't see Trumbo, and Bryan Cranston do no wrong for me. Breaking Bad,
lifetime pass.
Yeah, lifetime pass, forever. But that's that's what I felt about Leo's performance in it.
Yeah, I thought that he was. I thought he was exceptionally. It was a very tough role. Obviously, he had to do a lot of it alone. Most of it. Listen, I started as an actor, and the toughest thing when you're starting as an actor, and it's something that a lot of people who don't act don't realize, is that idea of when you are alone, or when you have to pantomime. You're playing against yourself, or you're trying to play against the elements, or you're trying to play against you have to come up with that. You're not reacting to somebody else. So from that perspective,
it's
I can sit there and go,
amazing performance. Yeah. He didn't have the option or even the pleasure of having someone to bounce off of, to build off of it. Yeah.
So from that standpoint, I can't argue with anyone. Certainly, obviously, think he should be nominated, and certainly I'm not going to be upset with him winning right there. I kind of agree with you though with Fassbender. I thought he did an amazing job in that role. Of course, clearly Leo's winning. I'm just saying that I just thought that for what he had to take on in obviously a Sorkin script that requires,
Sorkin scripts in general,
a gazillion lines of dialogue,
and they have to nuances,
be on, and everything's got to hit. I just thought he did an incredible job. Before we move to the best picture, and
director,
the Revenant. Oh, get director. So before we even get there, we are on Periscope.
Yes, sir.
And we are on. What are we on over here? YouTube,
Google
Hangouts,
Google Hangouts.
YouTube, Google Hangouts.
Yes.
And we're recording this for Indie Film Hustle as well. We're going to put it on Stage 32 as well. It's going to be freaking everywhere.
It's going to be everywhere.
But you people out in Periscope land, if you want to ask some questions, we'll do a Q&A at the end of this as well once we get through Best Picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
So feel free to type in your questions, and our social media czar, Noel,
is waiting in the wings.
Is waiting patiently.
So I definitely have strong feelings on director.
Read them off.
All right. Big Short, Mad Max, Fury Road, The Reverend, Room, and Spotlight.
It kind of bothers me that they have directing and they don't have the names of the directors.
Again, I will agree with you. I agree with you. So, The Big Short, Adam McKay, amazing job.
I agree.
Absolutely remarkable.
Surprisingly,
again, had no business being as good as it was.
And we're talking Adam McKay. People that don't know, Anchorman.
Every Will Ferrell movie you've seen in the last decade. But the thing was that on paper, if you tell me this movie, everyone says it's going to suck.
Right.
on paper, like, oh, Adam McKay's wrote this script on this book about the financial crisis.
Right.
Like, is it a comedy? No, it's straight. It's a drama with a little comedy in it. Like, on paper, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
No sense. But because of, I mean, to Adam's credit, I mean, he pulled it off in a way that I went into seeing Big Short completely blind. Like, I didn't know anything about anything. I just kind of sat there and watched it, and all I could do is smile through the piece because I'm like, man, this guy is directing. Like, he is really directing this movie, really a straight vision, and took such a complicated and dull concept of, subprime mortgage and made it so much fun. And I don't think honestly, I don't know what other director could, like, if Fincher did that,
it would have been a different movie.
It would have been a different movie,
but that's what you would expect, kind of, in a way, to do this kind of, like a Scorsese, a Fincher.
Yeah, but again, I think that, but it would have been like straight drama. And the way he brought the comedy aspect into it was so, and it's not a comedy by any stretch, though.
Got a lot of comedic moments,
though you can argue that the subprime crisis was comedic, and
with distance,
with distance, yes, very much distance, was comedic in the way that it went down, and they actually laid it out in that exact way.
Yeah,
this movie comes out in 2010, not so much.
Oh no way.
Not so much. So Mad Max Fury Road. What do you think of Big Short?
No, I love The Big Short. I agree exactly what you're saying. I went in also blind. I didn't want to read anything about it. I had very low expectations. Adam McKay. Not to bash on Adam McKay. It's just that this was,
he's a comic.
This is what he does. He does the Funny or Die things. He does, the Step Brothers and Anchorman 2. I didn't expect this out of him.
No, nobody did.
So I thought he did a tremendous job. I thought the film was very good. I thought some of the performances in it that everybody a lot of people were raving about, like Carell. To see him not in the actor category, I think it's okay.
It's okay.
I think it's okay because I thought he was okay. I thought some of the performances were okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I
did like Ryan Gosling.
Gosling was
awesome.
And that's the other thing. It's a great piece of writing in a lot of ways too, because that's a made up character.
Oh, yeah.
He's not. That character doesn't exist.
Right.
It exists to serve the plot, right, and to move the plot along and to serve as sort of
break the fourth wall.
The narrator and everything like that, and also move the chess pieces.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So even that to me was a great device,
great
writing.
And
device.
he wrote it too, right? He
I believe he was involved with the writing. Yeah.
I think he was involved.
Yeah.
With okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's definitely one. I think he co-wrote it, or maybe he wrote it himself.
Got it.
But
he'll win there. He won't win here.
He will not win for direct.
He will not win here.
I don't think so.
There's just not. It's not. Maybe in another year, but not this year.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Mad Max Fury Road.
George Miller,
the man, the myth, the legend, the man who made us Happy Feet, has also brought us Furiosa.
He did Happy Feet.
He won an Oscar for Happy Feet.
It
won Best Picture. It won Best Animated Picture.
Wow.
Which I thought was a robbery because I think it was Monsters Inc. or something else was against it. I was like, what?
How did this elude me?
Oh yeah, he directed Happy Feet. He also directed.
This is what happens when you don't have kids.
He also directed Babe.
Well, again, this is what happens when you don't have kids.
Did he direct Babe? I think he's involved with Babe. I'm not sure if he directed it or not, but he's involved with it. And I think he directed Babe and produced Babe Pig in the City, but he did Babe. So from Mad Max, it was Mad Max. It was Mad Max original, right? And then Road Warrior, then Mad Max. So from Mad Max, arguably, one of the best independent films ever made. He created a genre,
right?
To Happy Feet,
to Sin City.
He didn't do Sin City.
Did he do Sin City?
No. That's Robert Rodriguez.
No, who did the second one? Wasn't it George Miller?
He did Road Warrior. Yeah, he did Road Warrior, and then he did Mad Max Beyond Thunder.
No, did he do the second Sin City?
No, that was Robert Rodriguez.
Come on, hold on.
I'll bet you. No. Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller.
Frank Miller,
not George Miller.
That's who I'm thinking.
Yeah. Frank Miller.
I got my Millers mixed.
Very different. But what he was able to do as a 70-year-old director out in the just that he's a 7-year-old man out in that desert for months at a time doing this. I that alone wins an award.
Yeah.
But that he was able to do what he did and do it only in the way he did. He's not doing the sequel. He refuses to do the sequel.
I heard that. Yeah.
He doesn't want to do it. And I agree with him. He's like, no, I'm good. I did what I did.
Well, it's the George Costanza thing of leaving him wanting more.
He's just leaving him wanting more.
Go out on a high note.
And he was supposed to do Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the studio was like, wait a minute, that's way too original. We don't want to do that. Let's go do Batman versus Superman. But we'll talk about that later. But I don't know if he's going to win. I think he is up for it, and I think he is really close. I don't know if he'll win. I think that what Alejandro did in The Reverend, and I'm going to tell you what I felt about The Reverend. The Reverend is wonderfully directed, wonderfully, I can't say lit. So the cinematography, amazing.
Yeah.
The performance is great. The story itself, I didn't think I fell for me. It's a very basic story, and I didn't get basic meaning it's a revenge story, but it wasn't intriguing enough. It was more spectacle than anything else. It's not Birdman by any stretch. Like Birdman, it's a billion times better than The Reverend. But what Alejandro did as a director to tell that story, now you could argue if he didn't tell a great story, then what's the point of him being the director? I still think what he was able to achieve in The Reverend is something that should be taken seriously, because the man has done something that arguably was probably one of the toughest shoots in history. I mean, I can argue The Abyss, I can argue Apocalypse Now as being more tough, but in recent, I mean, what the man did is let's go out into the forest, let's take these actors, let's freeze their ass off. We're not gonna shoot with any light. Let's just do this. Like that is, and be in a master's hand, because he's a master.
Oh, no question.
He's a master. He is, and that whole crew, that the three Latino amigos, Alejandro, Guillermo, and not Babel, the Gravity. No, he did do Gravity. Alejandro did Gravity?
No,
it was the other one.
Yes.
Yes, him.
Yes.
Those three guys. Yes, we're horrible guys. We're horrible hosts. We have no idea what.
I didn't even throw that at me.
But those three filmmakers, Mexican filmmakers, are, amazing, and I think that's opening up some doors that might have not been open for other Latino filmmakers.
Oh, I agree.
Because I mean, if you look at I saw the picture of the four of the directors, and they threw Alejandro right in the middle, because it's like white Alejandro. So, but that's my feeling on directing. The Room, I didn't see.
Yeah.
So I can't say, but I'm sure you have your feelings on it. And Spotlight, clinical, beautifully done, beautifully directed. Can't argue it. It was just cleanly, beautifully executed. It wasn't a stylistic movie. It wasn't a Fincher movie. Let's say, like Fincher, the director's stank was not on it.
Yeah.
It was about telling the story. It was about this. While Mad Max had all George Miller stank all over it, Reverend had stank over it, and so did The Big Short. But there was no stank on Spotlight, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, but I'll come back down to that. But I think in a sneaky way, it did a little bit.
Okay.
Well, I'll start there and go backwards. I think that it did because of the fact that it wasn't flashy, because of the fact that he went in.
It was understated.
It was understated. He wanted to show you this, and the thing that sticks with me with Spotlight is that there's no car chases, there's no explosions, there's no nothing, right? Yet the tension in this movie,
beautiful,
is incredible, and that's a testament to the writing and the directing, and that's where I feel like Tom McCarthy with the directing really just did an amazing job. Like, you sit there and you go, like, who else could have directed these types of movies? A lot of people said, like, this is like kind of a paint by numbers movie. I think it couldn't be more wrong.
No, I would agree with you. Yeah, I don't think it's a paint by numbers movie. I think it's masterful. No, what he did was masterful. It's masterful, and what he was able to do, he hit those notes.
And I think it's one of these. It's one of three of these five that I think has a legit shot. Although, it has some things against it, which I'll go back to. Room. With the accomplishment of, I think it's Aberson, shooting in that room, and if you see the footage of how they shot in that room, and you can go online and see
the technical aspect.
The technical aspect of it is pretty incredible. They had them in this, in this room, for 4 or 5 weeks before they got him out there and did the rest of the shoot and everything, and they had to shoot around, of course, the kids' schedule, so they only have so many hours in the day. Cutting through the floor, shooting through, trying to get all the angles because they only have so much room to work with, and having the actors feel that sense of claustrophobia and. All very, very impressive. I didn't love the movie. It fell short for me. The Revenant, you could not have nailed it more as far as my feelings for this. We agree again completely. Beautiful to look at. The first 20 minutes of the movie, I think I sat there with my mouth wide open.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't believe what I'm watching.
Oh no.
Okay.
Gorgeous. It's again, some of those shots.
Incredible.
When people in the business have to question how they did it.
Yeah.
that's the point where you go. Like some of the shots he did, I'm like I'm thinking, and I'm a VFX soup as well. Like so I know I'm like, how the hell did he get the camera like that? It's just like, is it like it's not techno? It's not like you're trying to figure it out. And it's like so some of the stuff he did was just like
amazing.
Forget it.
Amazing.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Sometimes forget about it just means forget about it.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing where it came up short for me is the story.
Yeah.
It was 2.5 hours. It is a tough movie to sit through, obviously.
Never watch it again.
It's you know.
So I'll watch the bear scene again.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough movie to sit through, and to sit through that kind of movie, you know what it reminded me a little bit of, and it's a totally different movie. It's just coincidental that it had Leo in it as well. Totally different movie.
Titanic, I know.
No. It reminded me a little bit of Gangs of New York from the standpoint of it was a revenge. The Gangs of New York, beautiful to look at, but it was at the end of the day, it left me a little short. And I love Scorsese because it was a revenge story.
Yeah.
It ultimately, at the end of the day, you were going through this whole entire thing knowing that there was going to be this showdown.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I felt with.
But I mean, personally, between Gangs of New York and this, I take Gangs of New York
I agree.
every day, and twice on Tuesday.
I agree with you,
Yeah.
but it reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, where I'm like, where's it going to go? I know where this is going.
Yeah.
I know what this final showdown's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But just there's no surprise. There's no nothing.
Nothing.
And it's just it kind of left me flat. I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, whatever. I'm like, it kind of left me flat, and it is a tough movie to watch. It's a long movie, and it's rough, and it's just kind of like. It's not like a torture porn, like it's not Hostel rough, but it's rough that way too because it's like
to a point where it felt like that was getting a little. It's
starting to get to that point. Like, man, how much more are you gonna beat these characters up? Like, I get it, but damn, let go a little bit. Poor Leo, he's gonna win the Oscar. Just it's enough.
Yeah, no doubt. We got to. I agree with you. Got to a point where I was like, all right, do we need 5 scenes of the horse? Like, for example, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need 5 more. Do we need the next morning and the next day? Do we really need that?
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it. Mad Max, not my, to be honest with you, not my kind of movie in a lot of ways, but loved it. And I thought it was incredibly well done. I mean, what this guy accomplished is insane to me. And then The Big Show we talked a lot about. To me, this is a 3-horse race. If you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have probably said to you it was Mad Max and Spotlight, just based on what was happening in the awards. You're reading the tea leaves. The thing that threw everything, threw the whole thing into chaos was Alejandro winning the DGA. Yeah, and he also won the Golden Globe. But the Golden Globe, nobody cared. Everybody else was saying, okay, Spotlight won SAG, won Ensemble, won this. Mad Max had picked up a ton of Australian this and this all over the place, and Alejandro really wasn't winning those, and then all of a sudden he won the DGA, and everybody said, what the hell's going on here? So now this is where I feel like we may end up having that split vote where I think who wins the director, and I have a feeling it's going to be either Alejandro or George Miller.
No, it's a 2-horse race.
You don't think McCarthy's got a shot, huh?
Not even in a million years. I think he's I think he's 4th on this list.
Really?
In my opinion.
After McKay, huh?
Oh yeah, I think McKay did better. I didn't say better. It's to argue art like this is ridiculous. Yeah. But in general, I think that on a practical standpoint, I don't think McKay has a shot at all. I don't think anybody else other than Miller and Alejandro has.
I think it's what's going to come down.
It's those 2 guys, and not only the mercy vote, but I think because I don't think George is going to show up again.
Oh, I agree with that.
I don't think George is going to show up again.
No.
And I think I just don't think. I think this is his last hurrah. While Alejandro just won last year, it would be wonderful if he won 2 years in a row. I don't even remember the last time a director won 2 years in a row. Not even Francis did that with The Godfather. They waited a year
in between.
So it would be a huge coup, but for him. But I think George is probably like 1% ahead, in my opinion, for that. Now, with that said, continue.
Yeah, let's go on to Best Picture. And just a reminder,
yes,
we have a bunch coming in. Okay, just a reminder if you're on Periscope.
Thank you for joining us and continuing.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for staying with us.
It's been fun so far.
Yeah, we're in this for a while. Huh?
Yeah, we've been here for a bit.
We have a lot.
This is what happens when 2 film geeks get together.
Yeah. All right, well, we're at the last category, so here we go. Best Picture. It's The Big Short.
Yes.
The Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max: Fury Road, The Martian, The Revenant, Room, and Spotlight.
We can move quick. We've talked a lot about a lot of these movies already.
Before we get into it, name. I think you already have named it, but name one on this. Name one that you feel like is missing from this list.
Star Wars.
Really, I think you were gonna go straight out of Compton.
No, I'm gonna go straight out Compton as well, but I think Star Wars. Because if Avatar gets nominated, why isn't Star Wars nominated? Because Avatar was bashed by every screenwriter I've ever talked to.
Deservedly so.
By
the way, they filmed it right here.
Yes, exactly.
On this lot.
Yes,
right here.
All right. So if Avatar gets a nomination, which I still think it should have won Best Picture that year over Hurt Locker, personally.
This is where I might throw a chair.
Okay, hold on a second. The reason why is I don't think that, and now we can go into a deeper conversation of sometimes these Best Picture wins. Avatar will be talked about for the next 20 years, if not the next 50. Hurt Locker will not.
I agree.
And for that reason, and for what James did and all the stuff that he did back then, now we're getting to like Oscars from yesteryear. But that's the reason why I think Star Wars should be on this list. Not only because Avatar was, and I'm like, well, if Avatar was, why shouldn't Star Wars? I think that the Academy, just on a marketing standpoint, was foolish not to throw it on there. Purely because it would get so many more views. Everybody would want to see if Star Wars would get in. It's stupid. The first Star Wars was nominated. And it was a good film. And regardless if you want to argue about Star Wars being a good film or not a good film, I enjoyed it. I'm a Star Wars fan. It was what JJ was able to do, erase the prequels. That alone is worth its weight in gold to reboot this system and reboot this franchise in such a huge way. Because now we will have Star Wars every year for the rest of our lives, the rest of our waking lives, unless there's 3 bombs in a row, which I don't see happening anytime in the near future. I think that it should have been nominated just on that sport. And I'd argue that Daisy Ridley should have been nominated.
I thought she was fantastic.
I think if you want to talk about a strong female character, she was probably one of the strongest female characters I've seen in cinema in the last decade. This year was too. Charlize Theron and her, both amazing. What that little girl, and I call her little girl when she's like 20, 21, whatever old she is, that young lady, what she was able to pull off with the pressure on her back to carry Star Wars. No one knows you. This is your first movie, and she crushes it. Crushes it. That is one of the people that I feel should have been on this list.
I agree with you on her. The movie I thought was fantastic. I have a romantic attachment to Star Wars.
We all do. Yeah.
And went in from a very low expectation point. I know a lot of people feel that he remade the first one. I personally don't have a problem with that, even if you want to look at it that way. I thought he did what he had to do. I didn't think it was fan service completely. I thought it was a decent story. I thought the actors were great. I thought it was incredibly well cast. I agree with you that it wasn't the ridiculous spectacle of the prequels, and it was a different kind of spectacle. And I thought she was fantastic as well. And I completely will agree with you that the degree of difficulty has been completely lost in the conversation, because that is an enormous amount of pressure for somebody that hasn't, been seen before. Even
Finn was in another couple movies before that. And she was literally plucked. Yeah. She was Carrie Fisher. I don't know if Carrie Fisher did anything before Star Wars. I think she might have done something before too. I think one or two. She was literally plucked out of obscurity and said, "Yeah, you come."
Yeah.
Like from the gods up at the top mountain, you come act. Now you have a career.
Yeah.
You're good. She can sign autographs at Comic-Cons for the rest of her life. If things go downhill, she's good for the rest of her life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just amazing. So that's well, I could see, I could see where you're coming from. I wasn't surprised not to see it.
Oh, no, I wasn't surprised not to see it.
Yeah.
But, if The Martian got on.
That's the thing. See, I could go with you there.
If Castaway on Mars got on,
I could go.
Why can't Star Wars be on there? Just marketing, guys. And if they think that The Martian is what's going to bring the people in, the kids to watch the Oscars ain't happening. If you would have put Star Wars on there, I guarantee. And that's why they built this whole 8 to 10, because the year that The Dark Knight wasn't nominated.
Right, but
that's why they did it.
But the way it worked this year, of course, was probably Mad Max in a lot of ways. Because I don't know.
Star Wars.
But what I'm just saying, I don't know if, even though we can sit here and say the director may have a legitimate chance to win, because now there's this momentum and there's this acceptance. If we were still back in the days where there were 5 films,
no way.
No way it's.
Oh God, no way.
Way.
No.
and we were still talking about the prestige movies versus whatever, it would not be.
If it was 5, I would say it would be like The Big Shorts, Bridge of Spies, The Reverend, and like
Spotlight. For sure.
And there you go. That would be your top 5. Room would have never made it.
Brooklyn would have had a shot.
Yeah, I said Brooklyn. Brooklyn would have had a shot. Yeah, but Mad Max wouldn't. Martian.
Yeah, no.
Those days.
All right, so let's talk about what's here.
All right, Big Short. Oh, what am I thinking? Best Picture? I'm going to say The Reverend because I just feel that that's where everything's going. I don't think it deserves it, but I think it's where everything is going. And I think for what it was, it's something that will probably be studied for years to come because of what the man did. It's not the best story, and it's not the best movie. In my opinion, what I think the best movie should be out of this list, God, because my best movie, I would either go, and I'm going to talk about Mad Max for a second.
Yeah,
I liked it, but I'm not like over the moon.
Yeah, no.
I liked it. I enjoyed it, and it's an amazing cinematic feat. And Charlize should have been nominated. Just no question, Charlize should have been nominated.
I agree.
But it's not my favorite movie of the year, and I know, and a lot of people agree with me on that. If I had to choose out of this, it's between Big Short and Spotlight.
Yeah, and I think that
Big Short, I think, takes it for me as best picture out of everything here.
Yeah,
Big Short without question. I think for me,
okay,
that's what I would be on this list.
For me, I have a 1 and a 1A, and they're very, very close. I think Spotlight and Brooklyn were my 2 favorites. Brooklyn. Brooklyn's such an interesting story, man. It's a simple story.
It's your usual suspects. It's
beautiful.
But
it's beautifully well done. It's the film that came out. It's the only movie that came out of Sundance last year, in my opinion. You know, they had Mural and Dying Girl that went for $8 million or 9, and no, I think it went for 7, and I think Dope went for 7.
Did Dope make any money?
They didn't make it. They did Mural and Dying Girl, but Brooklyn went for 9, and it went under the radar. Like a lot of people just didn't, because it went quick. The Fox Searchlight, and
it's made money.
It's made money. Yeah, it's doing well. It's done well. People love it. It has this sneaky. It's a simple story, yet beautifully told, beautifully shot, gorgeous all the way. It's the type of movie that when you sit there, if you're an independent movie fan, you go, that's it. You go, man, that's the reason I love movies. Like that performance, that setup, that everything. Beautifully shot. And it couldn't be more different, obviously, than Spotlight.
Right.
Obviously, from a different story, different everything. Spotlight, like I said earlier, I just think it's the most complete film of the year. I think it's just the most complete, beginning to end, writing, directing, acting.
More than Big Short.
The Big Short, the problem I had with The Big Short was, when I said the problem I had with it, it's in my top 5.
Yeah.
The reason I maybe didn't like it as much is because it still felt a little dry to me, even with everything, even with all the stuff and everything like that. With all the tricks and all the gimmicks.
You know what Spotlight reminds me of is that movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman, Meryl Streep, Amy Adams. The Nun.
All based on the play.
The Nun movie.
Not Guilt. Truth. Not Guilt. Not.
Okay. Anyone? Anyone?
Doubt.
That's what Spotlight reminds me of. Not because of the kind of this. I didn't even think that it was the kind of thing, but the same topic. But it's just Doubt was wonderfully produced.
Yeah.
The performance was like every single body was just like pounding it left and right. That's what I felt Spotlight was like.
Yeah.
Everything was just done so well. But my sensibilities, Big Short was better in the sense that there is so much more personality, and the uphill battle to tell that story, in my opinion, is so much harder. Not that the Spotlight's topic was not that the Spotlight's topic is definitely not controversial.
That's tough, man.
No, but as far as trying to look, you could tell Spotlight and you could tell that story.
Yeah.
But Big Short, to tell that story, there's a degree of difficulty there that did not exist. Different kind.
Yeah.
So I think Big Short for me, but Spotlight top. It's on my top, just the top 2.
Now, as far as what's going to win,
Reverend.
I think that the Revenant. I think that you are in a. You're right. I think that there's a little bit of a momentum swing here. I don't know though. The thing that makes me wonder if And The Big Short had a little bit of momentum. I think the thing that killed The Big Short, of course, is that it really hasn't won any of the other.
No.
The one, so you have these indicators, of course. One of them being Alejandro winning the DGA,
and the Golden Globe,
and the Golden Globe. But the DGA is an indicator where I think it's six in the last, only like 6 times in the last like 40 years.
Yeah.
But the SAG award for ensemble is also an interesting one too, because that's been an indicator for a lot of best pictures as well, and that went to Spotlight. Mm-hmm. So you have all these sort of indicators. I feel like it comes down to those two. Like a month ago or 3 weeks ago, I felt like it was the three of them. No, I felt like The Big Short was in there too.
Yeah.
But then it just hasn't won anything. And I think it needed to win that ensemble award to be in the mix. So I think it comes down to those two. But I do feel that you're on the money, that The Revenant just seems to have that momentum right now.
It has.
I just don't think it's the best movie.
No, it's not. It's not the best movie. But I applaud the artistry of what Alejandro did, what Leo did, what Tom did, with the entire. What the cinematographer did. It is a masterful piece of filmmaking. I'm not sure if it's a masterful piece of storytelling.
Yeah. And
that's probably the distinction.
Well, and here's the other thing that we didn't touch on. Another indicator.
Visual effects, no.
No. It's almost impossible for a film to win Best Picture when it hasn't been nominated for Best Screenplay. And The Revenant's not nominated for Best Screenplay.
Oh, really?
So that's the other indicator that goes against it.
So then what is? Do you think the spot? Well,
I'm just saying, not for nothing.
Hey,
and there you go. An hour and 47 minutes of covering like 6 or 7 categories.
We're not done.
And now we got Q&A.
All right. If you guys are still with, if you guys are
1,000 degrees in here.
If you guys are still with us, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for saying this.
Our first question is from Newtland. Tell us about your opinions on the Sony leak about Black actors not selling abroad.
That's not surprising. That's completely what we were talking about. The studios don't think that works. And you know what? On a certain standpoint, I mean, if it does it or doesn't it, I don't know. I don't know how a Black actor would be received in India or in China. I don't know. It's something that is, I don't agree with it or disagree with it. It's like, personally, I disagree with it. Mm-hmm. But on a business standpoint, I really don't know.
It's the unfortunate thing about the studio system and about big budget films is that there is a formula that everybody goes by based on an actor, how much an actor can sell in a foreign territory. There are certain actors of color, Will Smith obviously being one of them, who, kills it foreign. But there aren't a ton. And this is the problem with the studio system, is that everything is based on money. Whereas in the independent world, you can cast your movie, especially if you're casting a movie where you don't have distribution yet, or you're thinking about taking it to festivals or whatever. Mm-hmm. Cast it whatever the hell way you want. Yes, you could think in your head it might have a better way of selling this way.
Yeah.
But a lot of times directors, and you're a director, you know this.
Yeah.
It's the best person for the part, right? And it's in the service of the movie.
The bottom line is that the studios are in the business. They're not studios anymore. They're just corporations.
That's it.
They're not the movie. They're not the guys in the 70s or in the 80s or anything before. All of those have been bought up by conglomerates, and they are about pleasing the widest audience possible, because that's what they're in the business of doing. Mm-hmm. This is the bottom line. And the independents, or the smaller movies, they take all the risks because the risk is smaller. Look, I'm not going to spend $200 million. And if there might be a risk that the lead actor, because he's African-American, doesn't sell China, guess what? He's not going to get the part.
Right.
Because there's too much money at play. And I can't blame the studios for that. Like, if I put $200 million on the budget, I'm not just going to roll the dice and see what happens. It has to be strategic. So those are the kind of movies that studios are going to make and continue to make until the entire thing implodes, which might very well happen in the next decade or two, because all we're seeing is 200 million, 300, and then by the time, if, like Spielberg said, after a certain point, like, watch a couple of these 300 million plus P&A movies die and knock out a studio. Because Disney can handle a Lone Ranger every once in a while, and a John Carter every once in a while. They've got Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar. They're good.
They'll be all right.
They'll be okay. But if Paramount did it,
well, and that's the thing.
Not that Paramount's a punk, but
right
in the grand scope of the big boys, they're not as big as they used to be.
Right.
And if they put up, let's say if they put up a $200 million movie and they made $50 on it, it's gonna hurt.
And it's a cyclical business. I mean, look,
Yeah.
Like we said, we're seeing the sea change. Streaming has changed a lot of stuff. Television has changed a lot of stuff. And by the way, when we talk about the diversity issue, television right now, I mean, it's fantastic.
It's
you
like
know what I'm saying. So yes, it is.
Latinos everywhere, African Americans everywhere,
and the stories that are being told are amazing. I mean, it's
the Renaissance. It really is.
It is
the
a
Renaissance.
Renaissance. And you know what? If this all comes down to it's just a studio system and everything like that, let them figure it out, and let's not get completely crazy about it, because the independent world is casting beautifully, and we're seeing beautiful films.
But the studios are just the big target. They're the big target, so everyone always aims at the big target. So I get it, but you can't blame the studios for trying to be fiscally responsible. They're corporations.
But what you said though earlier about like the Exodus movie or
horrible. I mean, horrible.
That's like story.
That's just ridiculous. On a financial standpoint, you've now become so risk averse that you are now clogging up the storytelling process and just being ridiculous.
Right.
It's like, what was it? After the whole thing, it's like, okay, who's going to be cast as Malcolm X now? Channing Tatum. I think he would be an amazing Malcolm X because he sells in overseas.
Right.
There's certain parts that are supposed to be that ethnicity, and you can't, regardless of the budget, you can't go anywhere with that. Next.
Answered.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Director Z. How do we encourage investors to support stories and experiences which are representative of variant voices?
If I may take the lead on that.
Yeah.
The way you get investors to do that is to show investors that you are physically responsible and are able to make money with your movies. And that's what a lot of filmmakers don't understand, is they have to learn the business side of it. The reason why the word show business has twice as many letters as the word show. There's a reason for that. You have to understand the business. You have to be, as filmmakers, you have to be entrepreneurs, and you cannot just be a filmmaker anymore. That does not exist unless you're Chris Nolan or have got a studio deal. Then I'm just going to be a filmmaker. But if you're in the trenches down here with me and RB, you have to be an entrepreneur and understand the business side of it. So I guarantee you, if you made a $50,000 movie that made $100,000, and then you made a $100,000 movie that made $200,000 movie, you're going to have investors lined up, and you can prove that, and you can prove that system works again. You're going to have investors lined up, and you'll be able to sustain a career. And then we get into the topic of building a career, building an audience, and selling to that audience, and that's a whole other conversation. But First things first is you have to think as an entrepreneur. You have to think about it. And a lot of filmmakers don't want to do that. I just want to tell a good story. Well, then go tell a good story, but you're not going to get to play in the big sandbox. You're not going to be able to play with real big money or $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000, because at those levels, you better know what you're doing, because you're going to get one shot if you do that, and you'll never get a shot like that again.
Totally agree on everything. I think that in this business, you need to know the business. There's no excuse not to know the business. We talk a lot about this on Stage Art with RB, which is a monthly webcast that I do with the Stage 32 community. You get asked this question a lot. I talk about it every morning. I get up, I read the trades. I know exactly what's going on in the business. I need to know what's going on in the business. To me, it's part of my job as a writer. It's part of my job as a producer. It's even part of my job. I don't act as much as I used to, but it's part of my job as an actor. I need to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know what's being cast. I need to know where the movers are, who's doing what, and whatever. From a business standpoint, an investing standpoint, you need to understand what you're looking to do, the ins and outs of raising financing, okay? You talked about the fact that a lot of filmmakers don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. I always say to people, when people say to me, man, it's so tough out there. There are so many people trying to do the same thing that I'm doing. I go, there are. But guess how you get a competitive advantage, okay? Know your shit. Because most of the people over here have no idea. So immediately, if you know how to put together a plan, if you know exactly, you said be fiscally responsible, but even before that, know exactly what your movie is going to cost, which a lot of people don't. You say to people go, hey, I have a great idea. I have a script. It's fantastic. And you go, okay, what do you want to shoot it for? And they go, well, we can shoot it for 1 and we can shoot it for 10.
No,
No.
not that far.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What can you shoot it for? What can you reasonably shoot it for where you have a chance to actually go out and raise that money, and then you could take something and put it in front of somebody and go, this is the reason why it's going to cost $1 million. And people can look at it and go, oh, I see it. I get that. Okay. A lot of people don't understand that. If you do, you will have an incredible advantage over the pack.
I mean, and that's what I talk about in Indie Film Hustle all the time. It's this specific thing, understanding every avenue that's for you. There's so many opportunities for filmmakers to make money today, so many, but it takes this magical word. It's work. That's the word. It takes work, and it takes ball busting work, and it will take a year for you not to just make your movie, but to market it and sell it and build that audience. It's going to take work, and a lot of filmmakers I just want to make movies because that's what they told me in school. And if I just, I just go make my movie with my iPhone, I'll Harvey will pick me up and give me 10 million. I'll go to Sun. It doesn't work that way. You have to learn every aspect of the business you can, and then you can go after investors,
including marketing, by the way.
Oh, big time.
Your best pick in sound editing. They tuned in late to.
Let's rewind it.
They were asked.
There's no more tapes there.
No
sound editing. We mentioned a second ago. I think it's between Mad Max and Star Wars.
Right. You were back. I think that this might be the area where it could go both. It could go either way. It could be the consolation prizes for Star Wars, or it could be it could be the run for Mad Max in these characters.
Because Mad Max is not going to win Best Picture, but Star Wars.
Why I say consolation?
Yeah,
prize,
no.
The fact that it wasn't nominated.
It's going to be Star Wars, or it's going to be Mad Max. It's one of those two. I don't think it'll be any of the other guys.
And then this is our last. It's a comment question. They want your thoughts from Notlin. Why is the Academy 96% white males over 60 voting on everything?
The simple answer to it, I'll jump. The simple answer to it is that you got to look at the long body. If you win something, or if you have been, if you win something, you're in for life. I think if you're nominated, I think you're in for life, right? Mm-hmm. And then there are other ways that you can get into the Academy. These people have been in the Academy forever because they can't be taken out. So they've just gotten older. And back in Hollywood 20, 30, 40 years ago, it was completely white.
If you thought it was bad then.
Now. Back then, it was predominantly, completely Snow White, okay?
And male.
And male. So all of these people now who were in their 20s and 30s when they were first in the Academy are now 60, 70, 80, and are in the Academy. The problem is, the bigger problem, besides the fact, or let's just say an equal problem, is that a lot of the people that are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, they're not accepting they're not watching these screeners. They're not watching the movies. This is a big problem too, that a lot of people don't talk about, is that they're voting, it becomes a popularity contest for them.
Yeah.
Oh, we love this guy. Oh, we love that guy. Oh, Stallone's, not that I'm saying Stallone doesn't deserve it. I'm saying, but, we know him. We don't know this person, okay? That's part of the problem. So the Academy's answer to that is, of course, to let's flood it a little bit with younger people and people of color.
Who actually watch.
Watching. I don't necessarily have a problem with that if it's done, like we said at the beginning of the show, not in a knee-jerk reaction, right, and not in a way that is sort of haphazard, where we're reversing the effect, where people are going to vote just because of color or whatever the motivations are. We want people, ultimately at the end of the day, look, the Academy Awards, if you look at the history of the Academy Awards, there are some terrible picks for the people, movies that have won.
Crash.
Crash. Well, people that go on and on, right? I go on all day. People who have won and everything like that. At the end of the day, look, it's an award show. It's never going to be perfect.
This is not.
It doesn't matter, guys. But the point is, what you would want, at the very, very least, if you're going to have something like this, is you want a diverse body that actually votes on the art, okay? And I don't think you have that all the time. I don't think you will ever have it perfect.
No, it's never going to be perfect.
It's never going to be perfect.
It might be better.
But it needs to be better than it is now. I think, as we started to say at the top of the show, I know we're getting to the end of the show, I think that the way we're handling it right now is not exactly the right way. I think that if we would have taken a breath, I think we would come up with a better way.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we're at. But to answer your question, it's because people have gotten old that have been in it for 20, 30, 40 years.
I would agree with them 100%. That's exactly the reason why it is. And there just hasn't been a lot of, minorities that have been nominated or gotten in any other way, because there's not a lot of minorities in general in the business, the Latinos, Asians, African Americans. So it kind of is what it is. It's kind of like, trying to be a female director is rough as hell because it's the boys club. And it has been. And not Galen Hurd, but the one who won Hurt Locker.
Jeez, now you put me on the spot. I see a face.
I see a face too. James Cameron's ex.
Point Break.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bigelow. Catherine Bigelow.
Catherine
Thank you.
Bigelow.
Catherine Bigelow. She.
Her.
Yeah, her. Yeah, like Catherine Bigelow as a director, she shoots action better than a lot of male directors. But there's it's just a closed club. And you have to understand, Hollywood is general statement. The studio system in general is closed. It's not open. They're not waiting for new ideas. They don't want new ideas. They want to rehash old ideas
over and over.
Over and over, because that's safe. And that's just the way it is. So when you have to make a lot of ruckus and make a lot of money to get any notice by the studio system.
Now, what I will say is it's turning.
It is, without question.
We're seeing the studies, like I said, like we just had that study with the female protagonist, even though they're white. So now we got to fix that problem. Okay, but we're seeing an increase in female protagonists. The indie film world, like we said, is getting more and more diverse. And the indie film world, thanks to more theaters kicking back at the studio saying we're saving more screens for indies, which wasn't happening 5 years ago. Streaming deals, direct, in theater on demand deals. These independent films are getting seen more than they were 5 years ago, than they probably have in almost 20 years in a lot of ways, since the Renaissance or since
89.
Yeah. Okay. So we're seeing more of that. The voices are going to be heard. Okay. We're seeing it in TV. We're seeing it with, like I said, with independent film. We're seeing it in the studies that is starting with the increases. It's going to happen. It's going to be much, much more difficult to happen in the studio system because of what we said earlier, and that is money.
I'll leave on this note. The world is changing so rapidly, and maybe not rapidly enough for most people, but it is changing so rapidly that there's a guy on YouTube. His name is PewDiePie. Do you know PewDiePie?
I do not know PewDiePie.
PewDiePie,
but I feel like I need to.
PewDiePie has 27 million subscribers. He's the number one YouTube guy on YouTube. He has more followers and more eyeballs than all network television. Even more than The Big Bang.
Wow.
He's on YouTube. He plays video games and makes funny noises.
I know who this guy is.
Okay. That one day, and I hope it's soon, will start translating into filmmakers having that kind of power.
And it will.
And the people who follow Quentin Tarantino, who follow, like, I'm going to go see a Spike Lee movie, I'm going to go see a Martin Scorsese movie, they're not going to be going to the studios anymore. They're going to be going online, because that's where those guys are coming up now. And they are going to eventually, I can imagine the Martin Scorsese page having 20 million people looking and waiting for the next Martin Scorsese movie. And he doesn't have to go to the studios. He doesn't have to do anything like that, because he has 20 million eyeballs. And guess what? Investors are going to come in because he knows that he'll get 20 million views right off the bat. And and then you could just start selling. And there's so much opportunity. And a lot of times I wish I was like, oh man, I wish I would have been around for when, the internet started, or when the cars got started, or when computers first came out. We are in a moment in time that will be looked back on and go, oh my God, I wish I would have been in this time, because there's so much opportunity for filmmakers. I think there's more opportunity now than ever before, but it's about that learning curve. It's about teaching them, and it's about taking the old and the established information and knowledge that's out there and updating the new generation with it, which is what both of us are trying to do with our platforms. And I guarantee you in the next 10 years, there will be a director, and there probably is already, that we just never heard of because they don't care to be known by us. They have, we got 5 million views, 5 million subscribers, and I make my living. I'm making $500,000 a year, making my movies. I'm good. There's a lot of guys doing that right now. Not on the feature sense, maybe they're doing other content, but that's where everything's going eventually. So, and not only films but TV too.
No doubt.
A network and creating their own networks, and everyone out there has the ability to create their own networks and do everything. It's just a lot of other thing called work that you have to put into it. So.
Well, and that's the thing. You said it beautifully, and I'll just add, the only thing I'll add to it is that's why it's so important that if you're out there and you are, it doesn't even have to be an amateur film. If somebody's thinking about doing filmmaking, it could be, I know people who have been writing in this town for 20 years who have flown close to the sun, sold a couple of things, never got made, all these different things, who have finally gotten to the point where they said, you know what? It is this moment in time. It isn't that it's harder to get it done. It's actually easier to get it done. So what they're doing is they're writing material for themselves to film. They're going out and filming it. They are controlling their own destiny. They're making proof of concept films. They're creating their own marketing. They're creating their own brands online and on social media. And by the way, if you want to look about creating a brand, okay, check out Indie Film Hustle. I'm not joking. Check out Indie Film Hustle because you look what he does on social media. Look at the brand he's built. This came out of dust, okay? You build it out. I mean, you did.
6 months ago, yeah.
6 months ago. Look at the following he has on social media. Look at the content he puts out there. Look at the output he puts out there. He talked about the dirty four-letter word, work. This is proof positive of it. It's the right place and the right time to be controlling your own material, creating a brand for yourself, cultivating that brand, cultivating relationship, crowdsourcing. I'm writing a book on film crowdsourcing for Focal. People ask me all the time, they're like, I don't understand it. Why would I want to go out and market to people? Like, why would I want to do that? I'm like, well, are you out of your freaking mind? Because you want to stand out? Freak's sake. Get out there and do it. There really hasn't been a more exciting time, and it's going to get more exciting.
As the technology gets cheaper and cheaper and the bandwidth gets bigger and bigger, it's just, I mean, look at 5 years ago, man. Look at 5 years ago.
Night and day.
Night and day, 5 years ago. Between 1970 and 1975, not so much.
Yeah.
Between 1970 and 1990, not so much. It really has gone into hyperdrive after 2000, really. Because, I mean, I remember in 2005, there was no YouTube. So in the last decade, the last 10 years, how much has happened? And in the last 5 years, how much has happened with the technology, this thing. I mean, seriously, people are shooting movies with this. Tangerine was made with this. And, before people go, I'm going to go make a movie with an iPhone. That was his fifth feature, and he knew exactly what the hell he was doing. So don't think you're just going to grab an iPhone and go make a movie. There's a lot of work that he put behind that.
Doesn't mean don't go out and do it. The point of the matter is learn. And don't expect that everything's going to be an overnight success. But the thing that you can, cultivating that brand, cultivating but every part of it, it's like making contacts. It's like, making connections, creating your brand. All of these things take time.
I'll leave with this. RB, I think you tweeted me originally.
Maybe, yeah.
I think originally you tweeted me after you listened to Suzanne's podcast.
Yes.
Yes. So I had a podcast with a mutual friend of ours, Suzanne Lyons, and he tweeted me and he's like, "Hey man, love what you're doing." And I'm like, "Oh, great." And I knew what Stage 32 was. And then we started building a relationship, got him on the show. We started building a friendship. But that took time. It didn't happen overnight. We're both busy guys. We're both doing that. It's been like, 4 months since we've been talking back and forth. This is the first time we've actually face to face, but we've been talking a lot. Yeah. But that's the kind of relationships that, we build. And that's something that they have to understand. They have to learn how to build these relationships and these connections with other people in the business and everyone helping each other. But it takes time to build that brand up, build that value up so you can give that value to other people and help you move forward.
And create champions of who you are and of your work. And by the way, they're mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yes. I might like the person, but I might not like their work.
Mutually exclusive. But it's better if they go in tandem.
Yes. So thank you guys.
Tell them again who you are, because some people might have come in late.
Yes, I'm Alex Ferrari. I'm the founder of IndieFilmHustle.com. We teach you how to survive and thrive in the film business. I do everything myself right now, currently. So head over to IndieFilmHustle.com. And we also have, right now, currently the #1 filmmaking podcast on iTunes, Indie Film Hustle Podcast, where I do 2 episodes a week because I'm nuts. And we're here to help. And I'm trying to give you guys as much real information about the film industry as possible, because I think there's very few sources. Stage 32 and us are, few of the sources that actually tell you how it is and the reality that they don't teach you in the school in the schools
In the school.
in the schools, but you learn on the street and through pain and blood and sweat and tears is what we've gotten where we are. So that's who I am.
And he started 6 months ago. I urge you to check out not only the site, but check out his social media to just see what he does and how he gets himself out there and how he interacts with people. Very important. I'm Rich Botto. People know me as RB. I run Stage 32, which is the world's largest platform for connecting and educating film, television, and theater creators, 500,000 people worldwide. I'm a working screenwriter, actor, producer, voice actor, and author. And if you're in the industry on any level, or you're a filmmaker, an actor, a screenwriter, producer, cinematographer, crew, whatever you are, go to stage32.com. It's like LinkedIn meets Lynda, which is the biggest educational platform on the web for film creatives. It takes a half minute to set up an account, and it's free. So I hope to see you on there. If you do join, you'll get my mug on your wall. Be sure to say hello. And
it's awesome, guys. It's what RB's been able to do with Stage 32 is pretty remarkable as well. So
thank you very much.
Yeah.
I thank Alex for coming all the way down here.
It was a
and
trip,
being
sir.
here at the Stage 32 offices. And I thank the social media czar Noel for setting this whole thing up.
Thank you so much,
Noel.
Noel.
Over there. And I thank everybody on Periscope and everybody who's been watching.
Mm-hmm.
This broadcast will be on the Indie Film Hustle podcast.
Yeah, we will be podcast. Yeah, we will put it on the podcast.
It'll be on the Stage 32 blog and
on YouTube as well.
And on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So you'll have plenty of places to watch us drone on for now. 2 hours and 11 minutes in case you want to watch us again. So on that note, have a great night.
Thank you,
and
guys.
have a lot of fun with the Oscars.